We are live for another episode of The Panel. It's been a little while, but we are back. I'm live with my co-host, as always, Tyler, 138 MMA, and we're joined by two very dope guests, two very sharp guests. We got Dravi and we got MMA Jewish Better. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys all for tuning in, and we'll dive right into the card. You've probably heard all of our breakdowns at this point, or most of them. So thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll go through the whole card, but before that, we'll talk about how we're feeling about the card, and then we'll do our thing. Tyler, how you feeling about the card, brother?
I'm a little torn. There's some stuff I really like, and there's some stuff I don't. There's a couple of fights that no matter what happens, I'm going to be disappointed, and then there's a couple of fights that I'm like super stoked for. So, I think it'd be cool though. I think it's a packed card though. Like there's very few fights that aren't exciting, so that's cool.
All right, Dravi, how are you feeling about the card, brother?
I like it, man. I think it's a banger. At first, I was not really feeling it betting-wise, but the more I look into the matchup, the more I find in some spots. But I think it's more a props card than like a money line, and I'm normally trying to, focus my card more so on the money line aspect. But on this one, it's more I've seen a lot of people that like a lot of underdog, but I don't really. I like my underdogs, but on this card, I'm not really seeing it personally. There's a couple, but not a ton. So yeah, excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page in terms of just bets. Like, you guys know me. I bet almost exclusively underdogs, not on purpose though. I bet what I think has value. And this week it's mostly favorites for me. And there's a few underdogs I'm targeting. We'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, how about you, JB? How you feeling about the card?
I'm feeling amazing. UFC 314 in Miami. I got the Miami Heat hat on, so you already know what it is. I'm coming in to kill the bookies this weekend. We're going to make a ton of money, and the card itself is a banger. How could you not like it? Volk versus Diego Lopez in the main event. I don't know a single person that shouldn't be excited to see that fight. Like, does Volk still got it? That's the big question here this week. Who knows? And, co-main event's pretty good, too. I'm excited to see Pitbull make his debut. Patty Pimblett, is always exciting. So let's get these shekels, baby.
Hell yeah. I feel like this main card is probably one of the best ones in a while because top to bottom, it's sick. Volk Diego, a fight I never even thought we were going to see. Chandler Patty in a 5-rounder. It's going to be meme central. The People's main event, Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. I can't wait for the press conference for those two. Pitbull making his debut finally, and Krylov coming back. Should be a good one. But let's jump into it. First fight of the night, we got Nora Cornell versus Haley Cohen. Tyler, start us off.
Yeah, I've got a little reverse CLV here. I thought money would come in on Cornell. I thought she would be like at least minus 250 favorite by this point in the week, but she's like minus 175 last I saw. I put her at minus 190, thinking that was beating the line. No, I think she wins at a pretty high clip. Like, not even necessarily just because she's the better fighter, but Cowan hasn't been in there in a long time, and she's still relatively new to the sport anyway. So to me, I feel like Cornell's the side, and I'm surprised to see pushback coming the other way. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just completely missing it. So I'm on Cornell for sure.
All right. How about you, JB?
Yeah, Cowan, like you said, been away for a while. Is my volume okay, or you guys can hear that?
You're good.
Perfect, bro. So, like I said, I think Cowan's been away for a while. She moved to pound for pound Muay Thai in Colorado. I guess she could have some grappling upside here. Like, that would be her path, in my opinion. She's got a good jab when she does use it. She tries to get into the clinch, but she can tire out. I don't know if it's so much necessarily cardio, but I think like lactic acid buildup in the muscle comes throughout the fight, and then she starts to, clearly fatigue in some form or fashion. I think, there's a difference between just straight up death gassing and like having lactic acid build up in the muscle. And I think that's more for her, but it's still bad because it's a form of like a cardio dump, right? Like, you can't move your arms are tired. You're going to have a problem in the cage. And I think Nora Cornhole is like the better striker overall. I don't think it's by a super wide margin, and it's low level WMMA at the end of the day. So I don't really want to have like a major stake at chalk on Nora Cornhole, who I think still has some problems herself. She got taken down 5 times by Jocelyn Edwards. I think she can sit up against the cage as well, where she will, land the Muay Thai knees, and she's got good body kicks as well. I don't like when she does the whole spamming kicks thing, but like I said, it's low level WMMA, so not every time you're gonna get, it's gonna be low level on both sides, right? The way I may look to attack this fight though would be possibly some late props on Cornoli, just because, like I said, I think Cowan does tire, and when we look at Cowan in her career, she's been submitted 2 times in the past. Like she has one decision loss in her last fight versus Horth, but then the other 2 losses come to Victoria Leonardo. She got the choke on her, I believe, or maybe it was an armbar, and then I forget the other lady's name, but it was a regional fighter, Kelsey. Can you help me out here?
Kelly Clayton.
Thank you, bro. She got her, I believe, in a guillotine choke, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of crazy. And then even on the Contender Series fight, Claudia Lech had her in some pretty bad positions. Like she had the rear naked choke on her. She took the back and then she had the arm triangle. I'm thinking about a Nora Cornole 2-3 sub here. I think the prices are plus 2,400 and plus like 30 something, 3,200, something crazy. For a girl who's been submitted a few times, and I know Cornole isn't the best grappler, but like I said, it's more the cardio dynamic. I think she can get some reversals. She needs openings to get them. Like I think in round 1, the grappling advantage is Cowan, but I think as the fight goes on, she can be reversed. We've seen reversals from Cornole before. I think she could wind up taking a bad shot as well and being reversed by Cornole. And maybe Cornole gets on top, takes the back, and finds the sub. She has won in her career before. So that would be the way I would look to play this fight. And if you're worried about maybe like a knockout, like likely goes to decision. But if I had to play into the volatility is what I would do on this fight because it's so low level, I would go with the sub for Cornole 2-3.
Strikers getting submissions. I'll be talking about a different one later this week. So I'm cool with it. Dravi, how about you?
Yeah, my guy GB already out there calling these big sub prop. I love it because I'm not passionate about this one, boys. I'm going to be honest. I don't really know what's going to happen. And I feel Cornole is the rightful favorite. I think that she has more finishing upside and she should be able to get it done. But we have a lot of fights to talk on, and I don't have much to say on this one. I think Cornole should win. I think around the current line is probably accurate. I line her about 60%. So maybe I know some sharp are on Cohen, and I understand. I mean, it's probably going to be a close one, but I think Cornole should be able to get the win here.
Yeah, I'll make it 4 for 4. I'm not super passionate about it at all with Cornole. I'm not super high on her game, but with Cohen, it's like there's just a couple of red flags. She's been out for 2 years, which is almost 2 years, which is kind of a concern for me. I hate inactivity. I talk about it all the time. I just don't like it. She is at pound for pound Muay Thai now. I don't know how long she's been there, but that is a good move. Training with people like Miranda Maverick, that's going to be good for you. And overall, that is a very good camp. And training at elevation should be good for the cardio. But she's got all that drama going on in real life. Not going to touch on that, but it's some serious stuff that's I would imagine would affect most human beings. So that's kind of a concern of mine as well, coming back after all of that. And just on the feet, I think Cornole is much better. She hits harder. I like how she mixes the kicks into her combinations. I think that's good. She's a better striker than Cohen. Cohen can probably keep it relatively close, but Cornole is just more technical, has more power, is a little bit faster, I think. And then Cohen can maybe take her down. Like, I forgot who mentioned it, but Jocelyn Edwards took her down 5 times. It was her debut, and Edwards has improved the ground game, and Cohen's not really that great of a wrestler. She's just super physical, but so is Cornole, so I don't know how much that's going to help her. I'll pick Cornole. I'm not really dying to bet her at minus odds, though, at like minus 180. I'm not super interested in that. It would probably be easier to talk me onto the underdog, but I would probably need like at least plus 200 to even consider Cohen, and I think it's best to just stay away from me. And we can move on. Next up, we've got Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. JB, you're starting us off here.
Yeah, I'm not going to play Tulio this week in the parlay like everybody else. It's just too dangerous, in my opinion. I know he's probably got him covered everywhere, but he's got a nasty high elbow guillotine. I think we all know that. He does hit hard. He's athletic. he's got good inside boxing as well. I think on the outside striking is probably where Tulio is going to get him. He could wrestle even, in my opinion, take Gore down. I don't think Gore has like the best jiu-jitsu in the world. I think he's kind of just a one-trick pony with that guillotine.
So you're saying he doesn't have elite jiu-jitsu?
He has solid jiu-jitsu. I don't think it's definitely not elite. Definitely not elite.
Javi got my reference.
Okay, bet. I wasn't aware of the inside joke, but yeah, definitely not elite. We could definitely say that. But like I think he catches him early, or this is a Tulio fight. So give me Tulio, but I'm not gonna bet it. I think he could win all three methods.
All right. How about you, Jav?
Yeah, it feel like a level fight. If I'm being honest, I think Tulio is deserved big favorite, and the line has closed a little bit. I think it should be around 80%. So minus 400. I struggle to see Gore getting it done. Maybe he get like a first round finish, but outside of that, I think he's gonna be in trouble. I trust Tulio durability more. I trust his cardio more, his volume more. And he's just a way better fighter all around. Like he's the better striker. I think he's the better wrestler, better cardio, training at shoot the box. And I just think his ceiling is way higher in the division. And he also has more experience. So I think he should handle business. But as GB mentioned, I think the method is kind of tricky because he could win by all three. So these type of spot I like when I think my guy is better everywhere, all aspects in MMA, and can win any way he wants, any round. So yeah, I think he should handle business, but I'm gonna predict a KO. Let's say in round 2. I think maybe round 1 could be a bit close, but I think in round 2 he's gonna be able to get a KO.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm also picking Tulio to win. I think he's fine for a parlay piece. I just wouldn't make it like a multi-unit play personally. I would keep it to, maybe a unit stake, something like that. I do think he's better than Gore everywhere. I think he can grapple him. I think he can take him down. I think he can sub him. I think he should be able to outstrike him. Much cleaner striker, much more polished guy, much more well-rounded. Gore's good, but he's still pretty green. I know he's been in the UFC, a couple years now, but he's barely fought. He hasn't developed much. He has a lot of power, can threaten that guillotine. But I'd say overall, like his game's nothing special. And I think that Tulio actually does have a really high ceiling. And I just think he can really win this fight anywhere, just like Dravi said, like you guys were mentioning. I kind of like the decision prop plus 475. I don't hate it. Because like for me, it's like the way I think about it is I'll look at the props and then I'll think about like if you put a gun to my head and made me pick a method, what is it? And for me, I would probably just gut reaction is I would pick decision. I just feel like Gore's pretty durable. Gore can maybe defend the submission attempts. He hasn't really fought anyone like Tulio, though, so I don't know for sure. But that might be worth a sprinkle. I'm thinking about it. It's like plus 475 on Bet Online. I haven't looked at domestics. Could be better than that. And we'll see. Maybe I'll sprinkle that. But other than that, parlay piece, we just wouldn't go too crazy because Gore does hit really hard. And I wouldn't be too shocked if he took Tulio out. How about you, Tyler?
So I noticed this when you guys were talking. This lettuce behind me kind of looks like I have some wild green hair going on.
I love it. Let's go.
But in regards to the fight, I don't. How do I say this without sounding like a mean person? I don't think Gore is at the level that he needs to be to compete in the UFC. I think he's been fortunate enough to have a couple of matchups that went his way the only way he was going to win them, and that's with a standing guillotine where he doesn't even necessarily have to get it under the neck. He's a big, strong guy, and he's just trying to pull their head off, and a lot of people are going to tap to that. I think Tulio is much better than that, and I don't think Tulio is like this like ultra prospect world beater. I don't think you need to be to beat Gore. I don't think Gore is there. I think Tulio beats him pretty bad. And Gore does this thing that I absolutely hate, but he'll cover up, right? And like keep a high guard. That's okay. But then he'll wait for his opponent to finish before he does anything. So if the opponent is throwing a combination, Gore's just going to wait until that combination is all the way done. And then you reset and then he'll throw back. A guy like Tulio is not going to stop. Like he'll throw 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 punches if he has to, if you're just going to sit there and let him tee off on you like you're a heavy bag. And I can see Gore doing that. Tulio's a pretty action-packed fighter, so I think he beats him up however he wants to beat him up. He might carry him to decision. I won't say Gore's like chinny or anything, so he could eat the shots, but at the same time, Tulio should be levels ahead. So yeah, I feel good about him. And I think the line is actually like reasonable, which is wild. So
I'm surprised it hasn't closed in more. I feel like during pay-per-view weekends, like
yeah,
pay-per-view weeks, like a fight like that and a favorite like that, I feel like it really closes. It probably will Saturday, I think.
yeah. The
Probably
fact
will.
that he's not minus 500 surprised the heck out of me, honestly.
I think he will eventually.
Rightfully so.
Mike, I got something for you. On Bet Rivers, it's 600 for 2 decision. Actually, people bet the KO because it opened plus 460,
That was a
and
good.
now it's plus 600 if you want to bet it on Bet Rivers.
Wow.
I'm sold. I'll bet it after the show. There we
that's
go.
That's not a bad line at all.
Plus 600 is nice.
Yeah.
That's just my gut reaction. Like logically, he could probably beat him any which way, but just my gut reaction after taping and everything is that Tulio wins by decision. So if it's plus 600, I'll throw a quarter unit on it or something.
I'm picking KO, but I think decision is more likely than submission, and it's the bigger odds. So yeah.
Well, we know Gore can take a punch because how many shots did that dude eat from Brian Battle when they fought? Like Battle was just teeing off on him for like 3 rounds. Like,
Brundage got him, but Brundage got power.
Yeah.
All right, we can move on. Next up, we've got Sumaderji versus Mitch Raposo. Dravi, start us off.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go against the dog of the week this week, which is Raposo. I've heard a lot of people liking him, and I mean I understand why. I'm not gonna act like I don't. He has a wrestling background. He has some power. He has fast ends, and he could potentially wrestle here. But watching back his tapes, first of all, he doesn't wrestle a lot. You need to go back in his fights to see him wrestle and commit. I don't even think his wrestling is that good. And the other thing is he's very small for flyweight, which is rare to see. But like Sue is going to be much bigger, taller, longer. And I expect this fight to play out on the feet for the most part. And I think he's just the better striker, the guy that's going to be landing more. And also he has like a 8 inches of reach over Raposo, which is massive in the big cage. So yeah, I think the leg kick's going to be there. I think the 1-2 is going to be there. And yeah, the submission angle, I think it's also a great one. Just because we've seen Sue in his last fight, and I bet him against Johnson. I think it was a great bet, even though he lost. The fight was very close. And I mean, Johnson had a lot of issues on the feet against him before getting the knockdown in round 2. He was getting his legs beat up, and he had issues. And then the most impressive part is like, you can say Johnson should have won in round 2 by KO, but like Sue showed that dog, man. A lot of people would have quit. He came back and he almost got the submission. And these submission that he had were pretty fucking impressive to me. And one of them in particular was very, very close. And we know Johnson never been finished, and he has that dog in him, and he's not going to tap. And we see Johnson in very bad submission attempt, and he always find a way out. But like if Raposo was in this position, would he tap? I kind of think so. If you look at the Jake Adley fight, like Jake Adley, he's a good submission guy, but like he's not really wrestling guys a lot in the UFC. He didn't have much success in the grappling, and then he take him down, and he was bigger, and he kind of bullied him. And the rear naked choke that he had against him, I get it was a couple years ago, but didn't look that deep to me, and he did tap. So Raposo seems to me a guy that has a lot of skills, but have issues to put it all together on fight night. And I think here in big pay-per-view might not help. So could he improve? Yeah, that's possible. But if you look on paper and just wiki cap this fight, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, so he fought Angel Lima to a split decision. That's pretty impressive, but it was not a split decision. We all knew that because we all watched that fight. I mean, I think Lima 30-27 was like a better scorecard than giving a scorecard to Raposo in that fight. Round 3 he did well, but like round 1 and 2 he clearly lost, and he didn't wrestle a lot in that fight. I think he attempted like 2 takedowns. So why would I think he wrestle heavy here? I have no reason to think so. And on the feet, I think he's outmatched. I think Sue's gonna land more, do the better work, and personally, I think Raposo is gonna need the finish to win this fight. And on the other end, I could see Sue getting a finish, but also winning by decision. So yeah, I feel like people are kind of writing this guy off because he's 0-3 in his last 3 fights. But to me, he looked kind of career best in his last fight, show a lot of improvements in the grappling. And he's only 29 years old at the end of the day, and he has a very good build for flyweight. So I know he's a favorite, and it sounds kind of, ugly to bet him, but I think he should be a bigger favorite. And that's actually a spot where I disagree with the line movement. I think Sue around, minus 230, minus 70% makes sense, just because he's the more proven fighter. And Raposo, you can say he has power and you could knock him out, but you go back on the regional head, he's taking some of these guys in round 3 and 4 before getting a KO, and some of these guys are bums. So yeah, I think Sue should be able to handle business, and the sub prop could be good just because we've seen him attempt submissions and almost get it in his last fight, and that's a massive price. Raposo has been submitted before, so yeah, Sue by submission. That's my prediction.
Let's
I'm
go.
I'm not gonna pick submission for my prediction, but I'm gonna pick him to win. But I'll say the submission is very live. Let's put it that way.
Nah, stick to it, Dravi. Sue by submission. Let's go. So for me, this is the kind of matchup where normally you'd think I'd be on the grappler. Grappler's the underdog, maybe some wrestling upside, a guy historically who has struggled with grapplers in Sumaderji. But when I taped it, I really had no interest in Raposo, and I thought that similar to Dravi, I think the line on Sumaderji could be wider. I just feel like some of these narratives don't make a ton of sense to me. There's this thing being pitched around that Raposo's got this crazy power. I'm not personally seeing it. He hits relatively hard, I guess. He's knocking out low-level guys, mostly guys who have been knocked out before. And again, some of them are taking until the 4th round. Justin Valentin is the one I'm talking about. I've heard people talking about his submission grappling game, which I don't really understand. The last guy he submitted was in 2022. I'm blanking on his name. Jay Viola, I think. Jay Viola is a 50-year-old man. When they fought, he was 47. Not 37. He was 47. And it took him 3 rounds to submit him. So I'm supposed to think that he's going to come in here, take down Sue, and submit him. No, I don't agree. I don't rate his wrestling all that much. I tried to look up his credentials. I don't think he wrestled in college. Pretty sure it was just high school. And in MMA, he's not really shooting. I'm not a guy who really usually buys into the whole narrative of, oh, he fell in love with his hands, but kind of does seem like he fell in love with his hands because he's striking. He's not grappling. He shot twice against Lima, got 1 takedown, held him down for like 20 seconds. Even in his earlier tape, you look at it, like he took down Hadley, other guys. His control has never been that good. His entries aren't that great. And I don't think his submission grappling is that good. And then on the feet, yeah, he's got some semblance of power, but I don't think his striking is all that good. He's a little bit small, so he struggles with the range. And his output is really low. Even in the regional fights where he's super comfortable and he's on the feet, he's not really throwing a lot. He's just waiting. Then he's throwing some big shots, and that's really it. Sumaderji, I feel like, yeah, he's lost a couple times in a row. The Matt Schnell fight was just an absolute war, a mess. And we all felt like DC felt in that fight. His commentary was so funny, the way he was just like freaking out. And I was there live for that one. That one was sick. But like the Tim Elliott fight is like fine. Stylistically, that was just a terrible matchup for Sumaderji at that time. But he came back for the Charles Johnson fight. He looked a lot better. Yes, Charles Johnson was able to take him down a couple times, but the takedown defense looked better. The get-ups looked better. And Charles Johnson is a really big dude who can also set up the striking with his hand. I mean, the wrestling with his hands. And Raposo, I don't think, has that same ability. He's clearly not that big. And I don't think he's going to have an easy time taking Sue down. I don't think he's going to have an easy time keeping him there. And then with the sub prop, if Raposo is going for his win condition and he is wrestling, I think the submission is going to be live. He's showed it against Charles Johnson twice. He tried a front choke that looked pretty nice. And the triangle, I think it was a triangle armbar, was pretty clean too. Didn't get CJ. CJ's a pretty good jiu-jitsu guy in his own right, but I think he could possibly get on Raposo. It is a long shot, obviously. That's why it's priced the way it is. But I think the price is a little bit off. I mean, we're talking 7% chance. I think it's a little bit higher if Raposo's actually wrestling this time around. And you would think he would, but who knows? Either way, I like Sumaderji here. I think chalk is fine. And yeah, how about you, Tyler?
You should give the sub prop as your free bet, so it's going to be a lock.
And it's only a lock if I get reverse COV, Dravi.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, so to win the fight, I think Sumaderji gets it done. But I do like Mitch Raposo in the sense that, like, I kind of want to root for him a little bit. I don't know why. Something about, like, for whatever reason, I find myself wanting to root for him, but I don't think he's going to get this one done. I looked at the line thinking, because historically speaking, Sumaderji has struggled a bit with submissions, or in like grappling in general. So I was like, okay, let's see what the Mitch Raposo sub prop is. Just, since he's the underdog already, it's got to be great, right? It was just So I stay away from that too. I think Sumidarji wins, but I was like, okay, well, if he loses, how would he lose? It'd probably be something like that. Wasn't good enough. I don't know that I feel good enough about Sumidarji to play him. Just I don't know. He looked really good in a loss against Charles Johnson, but I don't know that that's. I don't know if I'm just over buying into the loss. So I'm probably just going to be drinking some root beer during this one and enjoying it. But yeah, I think Sumidarji gets it done.
All right. How about you, JB?
Yeah, I think Dravey touched on it a little bit, but I think the reach is going to be a really big problem to get past for Mitch Raposo in the striking and maybe even in the grappling. Sue uses footwork to avoid, guys shooting in on him. He's very unpredictable. He's got a good in and out movement. He can snipe you from the outside. He's got power as well for a 125er. I think he lands very good step and elbows like he did against Schnell. I don't know how he didn't finish Matt Schnell in that fight. It was absolutely insane. Kind of winds up falling off a cliff. So that's something I could worry about. But he was young in that fight, or at least younger. He still is very young as well. That's one thing I want to mention. Both these guys, I believe Raposo's 26 years old. So he's still a young guy, still developing, and Sue is as well. And we saw a lot of improvements in the last fight. The thing on the sub prop that I want to say is I felt so vindicated on the last fight because I bet Sumidarji by sub plus 2,200 against Tim Elliott. And I felt like the biggest idiot. We had the ends by sub as well, so it wasn't the biggest deal in the world, right? But I felt like the biggest idiot. Like, this guy has no jiu-jitsu. The reason I bet it, though, is because he tried to choke Luis Smolka in his debut, and people didn't even remember that one. And I was thinking, Tim Elliott been subbed a bunch of times, and this guy's got crazy long arms. And when we talk about the long arms, like, it's good for the front chokes, right? So I think he can pull a front choke in this spot. Is it like the line? I think is off in my opinion. But the way I see this fight playing out is I think Raposo's a tough guy. I think he's going to have a tough time grappling Sue in general, and I don't think he's going to be able to get the takedown. So ultimately, I think Sue wins this fight by decision.
All right, there we go, and we can move on. Next up, we got Cedric Dumas versus Michal Seychuk. I'll start us off here. I like Michal to win. I just don't really rate Dumas. I've never been high on Michal either, personally. I don't think I've ever bet on him. Maybe a couple times, but I don't think so. I usually bet against him. I remember when I bet Modestus against him, and I felt very robbed, but I think this is a pretty good matchup for him against Dumas. I don't rate Dumas. I think he's still kind of green. I think he's just very athletic and powerful. I don't think he's a great striker. I think his defense is rough. I think his cardio is not good. I think his wrestling is fine. I think the physicality helps with it. The explosiveness helps, but it's nothing special. His control isn't that good. And I don't really rate his submission grappling all that highly either. I think that Michal, his forward pressure is going to be a lot for Cedric here to deal with. I think that the body work is going to make a really big difference because Dumas, as it is, I don't like his cardio. And I think with Michal, putting him on the back foot, going forward, landing to the body the way he does, because he goes to the body a lot, I think he's going to really slow down Dumas, and then I think he can knock him out. I personally think he's going to put him away in the second or third round. And I think Michal should be fine here. I worry a little bit about the wrestling, but I'm not super worried. I think Michal's takedown defense is actually pretty solid. Against Barallo, it took Barallo like 4 shots to actually get him down finally. And I don't really rate Dumas's wrestling even close to Barallo or his grappling in general. So, yeah, I think Michal gets it done. Much better striking. And I think he gets it done maybe in the second or third. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, so I remember on the Contender Series backing Dumas, and that's the only time I've ever felt good about backing him. And that's I think that might be the only fight I've ever backed him. But actually, I think I took him over Brundage. But either way, I didn't feel good about that either. So
I took Brundage there. I felt even worse.
Oh, dude, I bet. I really bet you did. I don't think I think Dumas has like athletic potential. Like he's an athletic guy. He has a build that could be good for certain things, but he just hasn't been able to put things together. And I think that's the trouble for him. But on the other side, Oleg Seychuk is just like, I know he's fighting better competition, but he hasn't given me a lot of reasons to be confident in him to win a fight right now. So I'm staying way away from this one for those reasons. Because even if someone's been losing to higher level competition, losing can become a habit, and it is a real thing. So I don't think I could back Oleksiejczuk as a favorite for sure with my money, but I do think he probably wins because I think he probably is going to be able to come forward and land shots on Dumas. But I mean, it doesn't take a lot to get a guy that's in the habit of losing to all of a sudden lose again when things start not going his way again. It's one of those like, oh, I've seen this before. Oh, here we go again. I don't know. So I'll take Oleksiejczuk, but yeah, I don't feel great about it, and I'm probably going to pass for sure.
Fair enough. How about you, JB?
Gotta unmute the mic. Yeah, I think the Fighting Nerds move is the big, narrative here, and I think it's something to it. Like, you go from training in not the best gym to now, like, what do you guys think about the Fighting Nerds? I think they're like a legitimate camp. I think they have good coaching. I think going there is like a great move for him personally.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best camp in MMA right now.
Definitely is. I mean, the Fighting Nerds visitors haven't been doing that great, like Myra Bona Silva, for example. But I mean, it's better than training with your friends in a gym in Poland, in a garage in Poland. I'm just curious, like, how did he even get there? Like, how did he
probably in a plane?
Yo, you stole it, bro. Oh my god, bro.
Let's go.
The same thing.
That's the last straw, Tyler. That's it. I'm done. I need a new co-host. You can send me your resumes. I'm open. Enough is enough. Enough.
Hey, yo. I mean, I guess he probably thought, like, dude, my career is going. I need to, like, make a change, bro. I'm not winning these fights. Like, let me at least. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, why else would you make the move? Like, he has to be taking it serious, right?
Yeah, I mean, he went with his brother. His brother's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Brother's better than him, honestly.
And Dumas, I don't know what's up, like why his brother never got the shot, but
probably will.
You think? Hope so.
Is it his older brother or younger?
I think he's younger. He's like 29, I think, or 8.
Okay, so they're close. I think he'll probably get the shot for sure, especially when he gets this dub here because he's.
He's 25.
Oh,
damn. Okay,
that's probably why he hasn't been signed.
Yeah, they'll build him up, bro. And I think the body work's going to be there. Like you said, the uppercuts are another big thing. That's something that he's going to have to watch out for on the entries to the takedown. I think Dumas basically here is wrestler bust. He has some wrestling here, but it's not like Michael Oleksiejczuk has the worst takedown defense in the world, like you had elaborated on. Sometimes when he gets to the ground, that's when things can happen to him. But let's just not pretend like we didn't see Kevin Holland threatening submissions off of his back against Gunnar Nelson. Like, give the guy some credit in his jiu-jitsu. And, I think Michael Oleksiejczuk has just fought the better competition. He's probably going to walk him down, hurt him bad to the body. I think, like you said, he's going to drain that cardio, finish him in rounds 1 or 2. I think this is a spot where you can play Michael Oleksiejczuk. Like I said, it's just wrestler bust, and I trust that the Fighting Nerds are going to have a game plan versus Dumas, who looked kind of awful against Isaiah Tarr, who Michael Oleksiejczuk would fuck up. There you go.
That's good, Scooter. Thanks for tuning in. Dravi, your turn. How about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo a lot of what you guys said. I'm also on the same side. I think Mikhail should be fine here. Dumas, I'm not impressed by the guy, and people talking about the wrestling this week, like now he's a D1 wrestler or something. Like the guy that has caused issues to Mikhail are a very good grappler. Dumas is not. Like he's an okay wrestler. That's about it. He didn't finish Cody Brundage and that other bum as Aitar. So I don't think he's that good of a wrestler. I don't think he has that good of cardio to do it for 15 minutes. He didn't finish also that bum, Denis Tulian.
No Denis Tulian slander here, okay?
I mean, he has some moments in fight, but he ended up getting finished like almost all the time.
I had Denis there.
What I'm saying, it was a good bet. He was probably a dog, right? I don't remember.
He was a big dog. Somewhere between plus 250 and 300, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, he barely won that fight. It was close. My point is that these low-level guys that he's fighting and they're normally getting finished, he's in close fight with them. So now I'm supposed to think that here against a dangerous guy, he's going to be able to, squeak out another close decision. I personally don't see it. I think that Mikhail has massive finishing upside, and I also think he could win a decision. But yeah, to talk about the gym change, it's not only that he was like at ATT and he's now at Fighting Nerds. Like you guys said, he was training in his garage, and he talked about retirement. He said that he was maybe done if he lost that fight. He said some dumb shit about like, I'm gonna lose this fight. I might retire, and like a lot of like big red flags for this guy in some past fights, and now he's like, okay, let me go into one of the best gym in MMA right now, take it seriously, get in good shape, get a good training partner, because now he's training with Barao. Like he got beat by him, but now he's training with him. It's like, all right, let me learn, let me improve, let me master my craft, and he's gonna have good training partner. And I just think that it showed me that you want to win, you don't want to lose his job, and he's not old. So yeah, for me it's a McCall spot. I'm kind of debating if I want to play a scale prop or parlay him maybe, but I've not fully decided yet. As of now, it's just a pass betting wise because it's still kind of ugly to bet him. Because he's like 0-5 in his last five, but if 0-4. But if you look the people that he's been losing to, it's like a very good competition, and that's clearly a big step down. So yeah, I think he should win, and probably by knockout.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of build on what you were saying, like, does Cedric Dumas beat Shara? No. Does he beat Kevin Holland? Depends which Kevin Holland shows up, honestly.
No, he doesn't.
Probably not. Does he beat Michel Pereira? No. Chidi, no. Barrio, not even close. So, like,
And that Chidi wins aging pretty fucking well, if you ask me.
Chidi's been looking good.
One other thing that I wanted to mention, just Dravi mentioned it, with McCall talking about like retirement and stuff like that. That's another reason. Like, even though he's now seems to switch his tune, I have a hard time backing a guy that was just talking about that like a fight ago. So that's another reason. Even though he should win this one here, I get it. It's a step down, but like, man, like there's enough red flags that you could probably start selling them and making a profit and still have some left over. It's not good. But
yeah, I'd be a little bit more concerned if like he didn't put up a decent fight against Shara, but like he never quit in that fight. Even in the third round, he was moving forward. He was trying to take that guy down. Like he was doing everything he could to win. If he just came out there and kind of just let it go and, got finished at some point or just really didn't try, then I'd be concerned. But seeing that and then seeing the move over to Fight Nerds makes me think he cares and he's trying at least.
At least some, yeah.
But all right, we can move on. Next up, we've got Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. I'm not sure if I've ever seen Erosa as a minus 380 favorite before, but here we are. Tyler, start us off for this one.
Well, first off, I'm biased as all heck. And if you haven't watched it already, I did a really, really fun video on Julian Erosa. He is my favorite.
Checked it out. I like the narration, Tyler.
Thank you. Yeah, he's my favorite fighter. So like I did a nice little video. Like Mike said, he checked it out. It's like 8 minutes and some change, so it's not super long. But that said, people like to be like, oh, but Julian Erosa, you can't trust this guy. Since his return to the UFC in 2020, he is 7-3. He's beaten way better guys than you're giving him credit for. He's the only person to ever beat Sean Woodson. So there's that. Finished Nate Landwehr, C-Rod, Dawoodu, who was a guy that people liked at the time. So people just like the only thing they can remember is he got head kicked by Alex Caceres. Nobody expected Caceres to just throw a head kick like that. It even had like a weird delay on it, and like it was a perfect kick at the time. So it happens. I'm also the biggest Juicy J fan out there. Like
he's your favorite fighter, right?
By a landslide. So with that said, I'm picking him. I would pick him against anybody, and everybody's going to be like, I can't believe you picked him. Yeah, I'm going to pick him against anybody. But also, he's 7-3 since his return. He's won way more than he's lost. And if you had bet him in every single one of those fights, even the ones that you'd lost, you're probably way up. Dude's been an underdog most of the time. You probably shouldn't have been, obviously, because he's won 7 and lost 3. So give me Juicy J all day. Don't care what the line is. Dude's winning. He's going to put it on Elkins, and there we go.
All right, there we go. JB, how about you? Video.
My man, getting the self promo in for sure. Yeah, but there's still a line at the end of the day, right? So we're betting the fights. We're not just picking winners. If you ask me who I think is gonna win the fight, I do think it's Juicy J. I like his striking better. I'm sure he's the cleaner striker. He can be hit though. He can be hurt. He can be wobbled. The durability is a concern for me. I also, when you're getting wobbled and by Fernando Padilla and you're doing the chicken dance, it's just at the end of the day, I think Elkins, he say what you want, but he can hit, and it's not like his power goes late. Like the power is one of the last things to go, and it doesn't take much power to hurt Juicy J, in my opinion. You don't have to be like a major power striker. Grappling, I give the submission upside personally to Julian Erosa with the guillotines and the front chokes, but Elkins does have some good wrestling. He can get on top. Rosa can be put on bottom. It is possible. There he does have good scrambles. He's very good at getting back to the feet. And like I said, at the end of the day, I just think he's the cleaner striker. So I'm going to take him to win this fight. I think Elkins is tough enough. I don't think he's going to tap to a guillotine. This guy's unchokeable, in my opinion. Is it possible that he gets put to sleep? Yeah. Like a choke could put out anyone, but I question if Elkins is even human. And he's got a pretty good chin. So I'll take a Rosa to win this one, but I think he wins like a decision. And I wouldn't even be shocked if Elkins even probably won a round. Could be close. So, yeah. Give me Rosa, but not confident.
I will second that. He is almost unchokeable because if you remember the Derek Minner fight, and Minner really wanted to choke out Elkins, he had him dead to rights with strikes, and then couldn't get out of his head that he needed to get the submission over Elkins, and like had this dude like the ref was ready to step in, and then he goes for a choke, and then turns around and loses the fight. So to echo what JB said, yeah, the dude is unchokeable because if Derek Minner could do anything, it was choke people. That was what he was good at to most of his wins.
Pineda too, bro. Pineda's got a nasty guillotine. So what if that's why I can't play a Rosa money line. What if this dude just goes balls to the wall for a choke? Like, I'm gonna be the guy that subs Darren Elkins, and he just blows his arms out.
I don't think he's gonna do it. I think he's just as happy to bust him up, based on past experience.
I'm not betting it, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, Dravi, how about you?
Yeah, it's a tricky one to me. I like to bet Juicy J, but when he's an underdog, and I've bet him in his couple last fights, but now at the big price tag like that, sometimes his fight, or not sometimes, all of his fight are very volatile and violent. So are Elkins' fights. So if anything, I think a violence bet makes sense because even if you go to distance, like GB said, it's going to be like a war that's going to have like 6 finishing sentence sequences and not getting finished. So I think the under 2.5, it's around a pick him, or maybe fight doesn't go. That's the way I would go personally, rather than picking a side, because Erosa could always get knocked out against pretty much anyone, and he could submit him. Like, I'm not picking it to happen, but like, to his credit, his guillotine is very fucking good. He submitted C-Rod in that guillotine, so that's impressive to me. And yeah, he has one of the best front choke in the division. And he has these long arms, so yeah, he could get a sub here. He's submitted guy that you're not gonna think he could have, and he did it. So, and Elkins 40 years old or something, so he could get knocked out too. So yeah, I think the under makes sense. It's gonna be a very fun fight if they go to distance, but I think someone's gonna get served probably, and I'm gonna pick Erosa inside a distance.
All right, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pick Erosa too. He's a guy, though, like Dravi said, I don't bet him as a favorite. I have, and it hasn't really gone great. I did against Steven Peterson, barely won that fight, very close, a little bit concerning. I'm almost positive I bet him against Caceres, and that lost. I'm pretty sure I bet him against Padilla, and that lost too. But as a dog, he cashed for me. Against Hakeem, he pulled through. Against C-Rod, he pulled through. He's a guy who I really like, but I just can't get behind minus 300. I just really can't, and definitely not against someone like Darren Elkins, who is very tough, very durable, always brings the fight, has amazing cardio, and can wrestle for 3 rounds relentlessly, and it doesn't matter against who. So, and like Erosa doesn't have the best takedown defense, and if he is going to start going for those front chokes and trying them, he's probably going to end up on his back a few times. He'll get back up. I'm not too worried about him getting stuck or anything like that, but I do think that that can happen, and he could possibly lose rounds. So it's just not a spot I can get behind at minus 300. And it's not like Erosa's a young buck either. He's not 40, but he's also not 25 or 28. But yeah, long story short, I think Erosa should get it done. Better striker by a margin, much more. They're both very durable, I would say. But actually, no. If anything, Elkins is more durable than Erosa now that I'm talking about it. But
Erosa's only durable if he gets out of the first 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
In the first 2 minutes, for whatever reason, it's not there.
Yeah, he's definitely not the more durable guy, but I guess where I was going with that is I think he's more likely for a finish than Elkins, because Elkins just doesn't have a lot of power, and Erosa has a decent amount of power, but it's not even that I think he'll knock out Elkins. I'm just worried about that scar tissue. That thing will open up if you blow on it, and with somebody who like Arosa, who can throw a lot of volume if the fight is on the feet, it's probably bound to open up at some point. And that's where, like, for me, I kind of lean towards the decision or like a over. I kind of like that over 2.5 at Pick'em. And I've been kind of debating, like, do I target the over 2.5 at Pick'em and then get covered no matter who wins? Or do I go Arosa round 3 decision and then I'm covered if, the scar tissue ends up being a thing and the fight gets called in the 3rd round and Arosa wins, then I'm covered. But then I get screwed if Arosa loses the decision. And the other way is I get screwed if I play the over and they call it. So maybe I should stay away. I'm a stubborn
staying away.
I'm a stubborn fuck, so I'll probably end up on one of those, but we'll see what happens. Either way, I am going to pick Arosa to win.
Is it just me, or have doctors been stepping in a lot more lately?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just like you also never know with these doctors. Like they're going to come in, they're going to say, "What color is the sky?" Elkins is going to take too long to think about it, and then it's going to be over. They're going to wave it off.
It'll be like, the sky? What are you talking about? And then
exactly. Remember Johnny Walker? Or even like more recently, what the hell happened with Bonfim on the stool? I don't even know what the hell that was. But
crazy stuff, dude.
Everybody went, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then. Next up, we've got Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. And JB, it's your turn.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on this one. Like, I think Jim could hurt Chase early, but I think Chase is pretty durable. I think his striking has improved quite a bit. Like, Justice for John, he thought he was in the desert.
He was in the desert. It was the desert.
He didn't know where he was. God bless his soul. You know what? At the end of the day, I think Chase, he has some tricky jiu-jitsu. He has good scrambles. Not the best wrestling, but he can get fights to the ground in a variety of ways. He's very good at taking the back as well. He's got some good ground and pound if he can wind up on top. Miller, he likes to go from arm bars, one on bottom. He's got more of a old school jiu-jitsu game. It's kind of a modern versus old school jiu-jitsu kind of matchup, and I think Chase Hooper with the modern techniques is just eventually going to be able to wind up in these scrambles with him. And I don't like the cardio for Miller, so I think Chase Hooper wins here. Give me him to win this fight by round 3 sub. I think he finds a finish, maybe with some crazy, like a calf slicer or a heel hook or something, because he just got crazy moves. Like, he'll wind up on bottom and just find these ridiculous ways to he'll put his arm and go for a go-go plata from side control, and somehow he just winds up on the back from there, and then he's doing a triangle. So, yeah, give me Hooper. I think he gets the sub. Bang.
All right. Dravi, how about you?
Yeah, another fight where I think it's going to be a violent one, a way or another. I think that Hooper is probably going to find a finish at some point based on, cardio, age, all these stuff, and the pace and pressure also that he put on these guys on the ground. Ground and pound is very good. Submission game and all-around skill set has been looking way better these days. And I just think that he built into his physique at 155, and him moving up was a good decision. So now we're seeing him, he looked strong. He looked to be in the right place, the right time. And Jim Miller can compete in the first round. He's live to finish him in the first round. He's always live in round 1, but he's like 41 years old at this point, and his cardio is shaky at the end of round 2 and in round 3. And I think we're going to see a fight that play out a lot in the grappling. And if you're getting tired, I think Hooper's going to capitalize on that. So I feel like it's a fight where Miller either win early or have big moments early. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hooper finish in any round. So I thought I was slick thinking maybe Hooper round 2-3, but the books are into it. They're giving us shit price for that. So yeah, and maybe KO for Hooper, maybe KO 2-3, but you could sub, you could KO. So it's kind of tricky. The sub prop is not even plus money anymore. So it is like kind of nasty if you ask me. So if you really want to bet this fight, I think fight doesn't go, maybe a good parlay piece. Or if you want, you could, take a shot on mid or round 1 or the Hooper round 2-3 props. But I don't even think they're that great. But yeah, I'm going to pick Hooper to get it done. Inside a distance is, again, the prediction. But I'm seeing a lot of violence on this card. I'm scared.
Yeah, for me, I'm not going to waste too much time. It's Hooper for me. He's filled in a lot. He's improved pretty much every single aspect of his game. I used to fade him back in the day. We're talking like 2020 when he was like a child, When he fought Alex Caceres, I took Caceres. When he fought Steven Peterson, I took Steven Peterson. When he fought, is his name Peter Barrett or Barnett?
Barrett, I think.
Barrett. When he fought Peter Barrett, I took Barrett.
Barrett was winning, right?
Came damn close to winning. I was watching that. I was in Atlantic City with my brother, and we were watching that fight. And I was like, I'm gonna cash this ticket. And then Chase just keeps rolling for that damn leg, and eventually pulls off for him. But he's come a really long way, and I'm tired of losing money fading him, so I'm not going to be doing that anymore. And, maybe I will, depending on the matchup, but definitely not with Jim Miller at 41 years old. Jim Miller has more UFC fights than Chase Hooper has years on this planet, which is crazy. But at this point, like, Jim has taken so much damage. He's he's 41, but in fight years, he's like 81, 82, let's call it. And I just think Hooper could probably win this however he wants. I struggle to see the sub just because Miller's good in the grappling also. I kind of lean towards like maybe like Hooper ends up on top in the second round. Miller's a little tired. He starts dropping those elbows, gets like a TKO or something. But he can really win in any which way, and I'm not going to try to guess, not at these prices. So Hooper, but I'm passing on this fight. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I think kind of like what you were saying, the people that are still thinking about Hooper's fights from when he was like a teenager, those are the people that are still trying to fade him because he's leveled up a lot. Like he's much better. He filled out in the frame. He's going to have a huge advantage as far as size goes. I mean, the dude walks around at darn near 200 pounds from what I understand. I believe he said he was like 190 something or like 196 or something like that when he was talking to Mighty Mouse. Like he's a big man.
It makes sense. How tall is he? Like 5'11"? No, he's 6'1".
Yeah, he's a big dude. Like he's going to have all the size. He has man strength now. He's a grown man now. The dude's jiu-jitsu is legit as it gets. Like, I mean, Miller's jiu-jitsu is good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I would bet Hooper there as far as just like a grappling match easily. So I do understand the chance for the KO, but even then, like even when Hooper is getting cracked, usually the dude can take a beating. So I feel like Hooper gets it done. I actually just laid the juice on him when he was like minus 450 and just said 4.5 to win one. I mean, I could hedge out now easy enough, but like I think it's safe. So yeah, Hooper should get this done. I like Jim just as much as the rest of you, but Hooper.
First, when you said that you laid the chalk, I was like minus 1,000.
No. Back when he was 450, yeah, 1,000. I mean, even then, like, I mean, you're just risking so much of your like bankroll for it, but at the same time, like he probably gets it done at a pretty high
level. At that point, there's 0 sense there, bro. Like, would you be that crazy shocked if Miller came out there and bonked him?
I would be pretty surprised. I mean, I would be really surprised.
See, I'd be surprised, but not shocked.
The only thing that would shock me is if Hooper went out there and just like hurt himself and lost like that. I mean, like we've seen it happen, but that's like a shock. Like when Aspinall just blew out his leg against Blades, and I was like, wow, did not expect that. So
the Pikachu meme that's gonna be telling mine.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Our boy FB saying Hooper went to Wisconsin Wrestling Practice minute. I mean, I don't know how much that really means. It means something, I guess. But like, I wrestled in high school, and every time I grapple with somebody who knows any jiu-jitsu, because I know 0, I get guillotined or some semblance of choked out seconds into me shooting a takedown.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed if he didn't sub every single one of them. Like,
yeah, I used to go to a different jiu-jitsu gym, and like it was right by a college, or at least not too far from there, and like the college wrestling team would come in and like they would dominate top control and stuff like that, but like they would all get choked out at least for like the first week and a half until they
no one teaches us how to defend a choke.
Yeah, once they learned to defend a choke, they were killing everybody.
Usually wrestlers are like reach forward, so you get armbarred and triangled a lot, but once they learn, bro, they're beasts.
Oh yeah, then it's miserable.
But all right. Oh yeah, I would have paid money to see him trying to sub the heavyweight that they got.
Yeah, I mean, give him enough time, maybe.
But all right, we can move on. Everybody went, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next up, we got Verna Jandiroba versus Yanji Anand. Dravi, I think it's your turn.
Yeah, and it's my free bet of the week. I posted Jandy Roba, and it's also my biggest position on in the week. And me and Mike talk about this one a little bit, and it's kind of funny because this year I'm kind of betting grappler more than striker. So normally you like the grappler, I like the striker, but sometimes, man, I mean, I've realized that sometimes these striker fuck me, bro, because sometimes they get dominated on the ground. So I like the grappler a bit more these days, and depending on the spot, depending on the KO upside, depending on a lot of stuffs. But for example, here I like the grappler a lot, but the Bryce Mitchell fight, I don't like the grappler. So it's really matchup dependent. But here in this fight, the way I see it playing out is I think Verna need a takedown to either win the fight or win any round. And I don't even think she needs 3 takedowns to win. She could only need 1 because she could get a submission, and she could need only 2 to win 2 rounds. And then how much upside do I give Jan to get a KO? Maybe 10%, something around that. She could get a KO. I mean, she's a slick striker, good footwork, and a much better striker. But I think she only has like 1 in her UFC career. So it's not like she's knocking these girls out. But how much submission upside I give Verna, and then it's a lot more. I think on the ground the levels is difference is insane. Yes, she could, but honestly, she doesn't really go for ground and pound. She really liked the submission better. So I'm not gonna act like I see it, but I mean, when we have these type of level different in the mat, we can always see this type of shit happening. But yeah, the way I see this fight is I think Verna is gonna know the game plan and go for a takedown in any fucking round. I don't want her to strike. And I know I like these fighter when I know what they're gonna do and I can count on them to do that. And Verna's a girl that's not gonna try to test her striking here. She's gonna go out there trying to get a takedown. And I think her wrestling is all right. It's not the best, but what I've noticed is she's very strong. Amanda Lemos, you can say what you want about her, but first of all, I think her BJJ is better than Jan, and also I think she's much stronger than Jan. And Verna dominated her in the in the clinch with her, like she kind of bullied her. So that was impressive to me, and she finally subbed there. And then you go back into the Weili Zhang fight. Everybody talked about it this week, so I don't want to touch too much about it. But basically, Weili Zhang submitted her in the first round. So if Verna get on top, she could easily submit her. Like I can see that happening at a high clip. And then she take down everybody that she fight. That's kind of her thing. So and Jan's getting taken down a lot when she's fighting these type of fighters. Sometimes she's find a way to win against Dern, for example. But I rate Verna wrestling higher than I rate Dern personally. And I think that Verna is, I'm not sure if she's like a better grappler than Dern in a certain way, but I think she's better at controlling on the mat. And I think that if she gets to a submission attempt, she's gonna get it here. Compared to Dern, we have seen go for subs and not get it a lot of times in her career. So Jan did improve since like the Carlos Perza fight, for example. I think she's getting better, obviously, but I think that at some point it's only going to be a matter of time, and she doesn't even need a takedown. We don't really think about it, but if Jan kick and fall or something, or if Verna catches a kick and Jan fall off balance, that's just some type of thing we have to consider. She kind of needs to fight a perfect fight in a way, because if the floor is lava, you can go to the ground. Like you can fall, you can kick too much, you can strike too much, you can try to knock her out too much because you're gonna be off balance. You're gonna be in a bad position. And in the clinch, Verna's very tricky. She can pull guard, she can go for a weird leg lock, and then all of a sudden she's on your back and you don't know what to do, because she's very good at creating scrambles and she's very creative in the grappling. So yeah, I count on her to get at least 2 takedowns here to secure the win or get a submission at some point. So Jendi Roba for me, I think the level in the grappling is gigantic, and you can say the difference on the feet is also, but I think at some point the fight's going to be on the ground, and when it is, either going to be a sub or the round. So a takedown per round, or only 2 takedowns to win 2 of the 3. And Verna cardio is a bit shaky in round 3, but to her credit, she wins these third round more often than she's lose them. She's good at winning these rounds even when she's tired. So yeah. And also I think Jan looked very good against Richie. But Richie fought such a bad fight in the sense that she attempted like 3 takedowns, and she got it down once, but And Jan gave up her back, by the way, but Richie didn't capitalize. I think here the level is on the ground is very different. So yeah, I think she get at least 2, maybe 3 takedowns to either win the fight by decision or getting a submission at some point. So Jen Roba for me, that's a line that I think should be wider, 70%. That's why that's where I line her, and she's around she's bouncing around 55 to 60% all week. A lot of sharps on both sides, it seems, but I think Jen Roba is the side.
Yeah, pretty binary fight for me as well, and I can understand arguments for both. Like Yan Jianan, if this was a striking affair, if this was just like a kickboxing match, Yan would be like minus 10,000. If this was a jiu-jitsu match, Verna would probably be minus 10,000 or higher somehow. And it's really going to come down to who gets their game going. And I lean towards Verna getting it done. When it's a striker versus grappler matchup like this, normally I'll lean towards the grappler if I think there's enough of a advantage and the line's not that crazy wide. And here, minus 150, I think is fine. Minus 145, whatever it's at now. Verna, I think she is going to get Jan down. Jan's takedown defense has improved a lot, but like Ricci, like Dravi said, first of all, she barely shot. When she did, the entries were crap, and she had no striking whatsoever to set them out up with. And her control has also never really been that good, Ricci. She's not somebody who's taking people down, and that's it. That's the round. She keeps them there for the rest of the 5 minutes or whatever's left. Verna, when she takes somebody down, that's usually it. Like they usually stay there. They don't often get back up. She's really good at scrambling. She's really good at following scrambles. She's good at taking that back. And I just don't know if Jan can handle her once it does hit the mat. I think Verna's going to be a little bit too much, and I think she's going to get it done. I lean towards the decision, but I didn't think she was going to sub Lemos either, and she subbed her relatively comfortably. So I think that is live. I would say Lemos is a better grappler than Jan is, but hey, if Jan can keep this on the feet, she could look like a huge favorite. I just think she's going to struggle to do that. And even if she is stuffing some of the takedowns, I think Verna is going to be the one pushing her up against the cage. There's going to be a ton of cage pushing. Verna can maybe drag her down. Like she'll be winning minutes the entire time. So yeah, for me, it's Verna. And yeah, how about you, Tyler?
I love Verna as like, I'm even as just a fan. Like I've been rooting for Verna since like forever. As long as I've known, I've been rooting for Verna, and the fact that her and Rob Schneider don't take photos together is really a strange thing. Like they have to at least be related, right? Like, I mean, come on. So, but I love Verna. I'm a big Verna fan. I think she's getting it done. I think she's going to take her down. I think she can control her for the entire time, like Dravi was saying as well. Yeah, or she can sub her. I feel like that's it. She just needs to take down each round or just one in general. And I understand that Jan is a better striker. Verna's tough as nails. She's going to walk right on through. She's going to get hit. It's going to snap her head back. Her hair is going to fly because she's got, that like she's got that like curlier, it's at the length that you see a lot of hair movement, and that can sway the judges as far as like impact on shots. But she's tough. You're not knocking her out. So if she gets a hold of her, she's taking her down. So we're going Verna.
That's something only you could think of, bro. Hair impact affecting the judges.
Dude, straight up, it's a thing. That's why Patty started doing the cornrows. Like he even said that he started doing the cornrows because it was affecting the way that it looked like he was taking shots because his hair.
Why do you think WWE wrestlers grow out their hair, bro? It's so they can take bumps, bro. They like wave their hair.
Mm-hmm.
He's totally right, bro.
It's a real thing. Yeah, like straight up.
See, that's why Tyler's one of the best in the game because he thinks of things that nobody else is thinking about.
Mm-hmm. It's a real thing, though.
Tyler's hitting up his inside sources. How long is Verna's hair for this fight?
Well, it also doesn't help that it's like that curlier hair too, because like it's right there. It's not like it's slicked back and tied. You know what I mean?
You look like Verna right now with that lettuce behind you, bro. You look.
Yeah, dude, that's right. I got the lettuce side. He makes it look like Verna's hair.
You just gotta get that.
I've said this before, but you would have a lettuce poster behind you. I know it's not even your apartment.
Yeah,
but
that's my wife's poster. She had this before we met.
That's too good. But all right, JB, how about you, bro?
Oh, thank you, bro. I like this fight, man. I'm a big fan of Yan Xiaonan. She cashed me a huge ticket against Mackenzie Dern. I bet it like plus 220, and then it went up to like plus 250. Slammed the line. One of the biggest bets I ever hit. So she's the GOAT for that. That was the craziest sweat ever, though. Multiple points in that fight where Dern could have subbed her, and she, to her credit, didn't get subbed by Dern, who's pretty good at jiu-jitsu. Virna's going to have to get the takedowns here. And the thing with Jan is she has very good footwork, and it's hard to get in to get a hold of her. I think, Wei Li's striking helped her get to these clinch spots. She's a very strong wrestler. Virna is very persistent with her takedowns, but she's not the best takedown artist. And Jan has been getting better at defending takedowns. Jessica Andrade, if you just try to walk her down, you're running right into right hands, right? And at the end of the day, she has a really nasty right hand. She times it well. If you're predictable with your takedowns, they're easier to defend. I think she trains with a good camp. Not everybody's going to be Wei Li, but like he said, she can be taken down. And when she does get taken out, I will be very worried that Virna is going to be able to get to an arm bar or a leg lock, get on her back, win the round, or maybe sub her. But each round is going to be starting on the feet. And I think if she doesn't submit her, Yan is the way better striker. She's got the better footwork. I think she fills the space better. And I give her a chance to win this fight. I think she could look like a big favorite here, or she could wind up looking really bad. So this is going to be a pass for me. If I got to pick, I'll go with Yan Xiaonan to win the fight. I think she's going to use the footwork in the big cage, stuff some takedowns from Virna. Maybe she winds up on the ground, but I think she survives, and then I think she uses her striking to win two and footwork to win 2 of the 3 rounds. And I trust her cardio a little bit better. And I'll sit up, bro. My bad.
Lou came in firing with the jokes. I love it. What's good, Lou? Good to see you.
He's cracking me up out there.
Yeah, this one got me.
the higher I get, the more I slump in my chair.
I know exactly what you mean, bro. But all right, moving on. We got Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson, and I will start us off here. I'm having a hard time with this one. It's dog or pass for me for sure. At this point, I'm just trying to figure out if I actually want to play Ige or not. Sean Woodson is a guy who, the problem with backing him here as a pretty big favorite, in my opinion, is that I know he knocked out Padilla, but I just don't think he's going to knock out Ige, and I don't think he's going to submit Ige. So I think if he wins by decision. And then it's like at minus 180, minus 200, do I want to lay the chalk on a guy whose win equity is probably a decision mostly, when judging is shit these days? Not only because the judges are bad, it's because we just don't know what they're judging anymore. They tell us it's damage over control, but that doesn't seem to always be the case. So you never know. So already that's uncomfortable. And then Dan Ige is a guy who, my issue with him is that he isn't a good minute winner, but he is a very good moment winner. So if you're backing Woodson and then Woodson's winning each round, and then Ige comes in, lands a few big shots and wobbles him and steals the round, that could be enough for Ige to win. So for those reasons, I can't get to Woodson at chalk. And then with Ige, I'm kind of interested because, he is taking a step down in competition, I would say, quite a bit. And it's a matchup where I could see him struggling with the size quite a bit. I don't think he's ever fought somebody this big. Sean Woodson's pretty unique in that way. And I think he might struggle a little bit at range. But at the same time, he's a guy who is good at coming forward, putting people on their back foot. And he can definitely target the body here. He does do that in most of his fights. But with Woodson, he's not even going to have to punch down. He just has to punch straight, and he's going to land on the body. To hit the head, he'll have to go up. But he could just go like this and start landing on the body. Doesn't have to go down. So I think that could be good for him. I think leg kicks, forward pressure, take away the space from Woodson. Those are all good things for him. And we've seen Woodson hurt time and time again at this point. Arosa hurt him. Your guy, Tyler.
He didn't just hurt him. He finished him.
He did finish him. That was one of my first big gambling losses. I had no idea who Arosa was. This is the days when I was taping and writing in a little notebook, but I was also wiki capping half of it. And I had Woodson in all kinds of parlays. And then Arosa just cooks him. And I was like, damn. But, and then Saldana, of course, I think I had 2 units on Saldana. I'm just glad I didn't lose the money. At least I got it back because it was a draw. But I mean, my God, what the fuck was that? But he did hurt him twice, dropped him twice. So I have to think that Ige's going to at least be able to hurt him, possibly knock him out. But just landing the big shots might be enough to steal the rounds in what could be a competitive fight. Probably is a competitive fight. I see a hard time. I have a hard time seeing Woodson just blow him out completely in just a 30-27 decision or something. I have a hard time seeing that. But at the same time, I'm a little hesitant because I just don't think Ige is that good of a minute winner. I don't know how good the fight IQ is sometimes. With the Lerone Murphy fight I've been talking about, I spoke about it last week when I was talking about Murphy, and I've been talking about it this week with Ige. I think Murphy won that fight with the last 10 seconds of the fight because it was 1-1 going into the third. Ige's on top for what, like 2.5 minutes. Then Murphy's on top for like a minute and a half or so. And they get back up with like 10, 15 seconds left on the clock. And who's the one who's like, oh, I need to solidify this round. I need to put it together. It was Murphy. And Murphy just starts throwing. He landed like 3 knees. He landed a few shots. And Ige was kind of just sitting there eating it and threw an occasional counter. So things like that kind of make me hesitant. But he's not the favorite. You know, he's the underdog. And then the price is climbing. So maybe I'll get there. It's dog or pass for me. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, so a lot of the issues that Woodson had that people point to are quite a long time ago, like 5 years ago now, actually, like just about there. So I do think Woodson's improved. I know a lot of people don't give fighters credit for improving. Like it's hard for us to comprehend the change in time when we're just going back and taping all of them in an order, like in a row. And we start with maybe the most recent, we go back and like we could be like 4 or 5 fights in and we're like, oh, that's not that far back. But it's like, oh, that's like 5 years ago sometimes. Not necessarily for Woodson in that sense, but I'm just saying like a lot of his bigger troubles were quite some time ago. I think he's improved a lot. I do think he probably takes a decision here. I think Ige is definitely live as an underdog. But what's wild is when the line opened up, Woodson was the underdog. And I threw a shot on it blind, honestly, before taping or anything. I was like, yeah, definitely this blind's gonna flip. And it did. So I can definitely hedge out now and just profit on both sides. I'm considering doing that because if you can get free money, sometimes it's best just to take free money. I have a couple spots on this card where that's the case. So I might, but ultimately I do think Woodson probably wins, so I might let it ride. We'll see. But yeah, I'm on the Woodson side. I guess I'll pass it to JV since Mike disappeared.
Nah, you're good, bro. Me and Dravey with the hat flip, bro. He started backwards, and then I started, but the light was getting in my eye, but he had to show off the horse, though. He said that's real polo right there.
Yo.
Bro, I like this fight. This is a good one. I think Ige, a lot of his weapons that he normally uses, I think are going to be taken away here because of Woodson's length and the knees up the middle as well. Like he's going to have to worry when he goes to the body about knees up the middle, uppercuts. Woodson's got clean boxing. The problem I have with Woodson is he fights really close. I like to normally bet this guy as an underdog because he finds a way to win fights, weasel his way to win fights, usually by decision. I was shocked when he knocked out Padilla in the last fight because he's not really a power puncher at the end of the day. Like I thought if this guy was ever going to get to a knockout, it was going to be by a knee up the middle. And like, look, at the end of the day, Ige's fought way better competition. This would be by far, I think, the worst guy he's lost to since maybe Julio Arce back in the day. So that's one thing. I think Ige could still find ways to win this fight. I'm predicting Woodson to get a decision victory. I think he uses his length. I think, like I said, a lot of the weapons, you know, Dan's going when he's going to have to go up top here, he's going to have to rely on Woodson's defense being lacking here, which he could. Woodson is hittable sometimes. Like, remember the Saldana fight, he will play with his hands low. So if Ige comes over the top, like the way I see him knocking him out here isn't with the body shot. I think he would have to go one jab to the body or like two to the body, maybe big overhand over the top and like level changes, because that's the thing that I think could get the hands of Woodson a little bit lower is if Dan mixes in the wrestling. And Woodson, while he does have good tall man takedown defense, I think Ige is a pretty solid grappler and has some upside in that path here. Will he win rounds with it? I think it's possible. So it's a dog or pass for me from a betting perspective, but I just have a feeling like Woodson's going to find a way to use his length, stay off the ground, and weasel his way to a decision here.
All right. Before I pass it to Dravi, I just wanted to pull this up real quick. I definitely know what you mean, Lou, but like my rule since 2023 has been no chalk spreads just because of the judging that we've been talking about a little bit. You can have a perfect read. Ige steals around, lands a big shot. Clearly, it's 29-28 Woodson. And then he just takes one fucking judge to be like, I think it's 30-27. And then you're plus 3.5 at chalk, loses, and you get screwed for no reason. That's my only issue with chalky spreads.
Does anybody have like a line for the decision only prop? Like only if the fight goes to decision?
For
Oh,
Woodson,
dude, it's gonna be like fucking Woodson.
yeah, I don't think it'll be good, but I
I
can
mean, it
check.
should be super clean though, right?
I mean, I can see a decision for
He
EA.
could win a decision, bro. Yeah, like
It's
there's
not
no
out of the
doubt. He
question.
can use his
For sure.
wrestling. I think Woodson fights really close. Like a lot of these decisions are splits and draws, and
Woodson decision only is minus 340.
Ooh, that's a little high. I was
Yeah,
thinking
bro.
it might be like -2, and that might be all right, but minus 340 is a little much.
All right, Dravi, how about you, bro?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a matter of when Ige connect with that big shot and find the kill shot. Personally, if you look into the people that Woodson has been, yeah, good point with the 30-27. I get what Mike is saying, but yeah, to me, looking into these fights, like, yeah, Woodson's gonna be the minute winner, like you guys mentioned, with the jab, with the knees, and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you look at the guys he's been fighting. Nobody that he's fought hit hard like Danny Ige does. People tend to kind of forget, but Danny Ige hit like a fucking truck. If you look back in the Lerwan Murphy fight, Murphy go out there 25 minutes, doesn't get dropped against Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett is older, but if there's one thing he still has, it's power. And the first round, Danny Ige come out here, pressure him, put him on his ass, and almost knock him out in the first round. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. And Murphy's just a winner. And like you guys said, he found a way to win that fight. And it was kind of a 50-50 fight, if you ask me. Ige almost knocked him out in the first round, won that round, lost the second round. And then third round was 50-50. He edged the last round with the last 30 seconds. So now we're talking about Lerwan Murphy was like a top 5 fighter in that division. And now we're going into an unranked fighter in his next fight. I think Woodson deserves to be here. He's on a win streak and he's a good fighter. He's a good striker. But I think he's one-dimensional in a certain way. So, yeah, if you look into this fight, if anyone grapple, if anyone have wrestling success, who's going to be? It's going to be Danny Ige, right? Do I think he will go to it, or do I think he's going to have much success? Personally, I don't. But that's just something to look at. He has the wrestling upside. If anyone finish the fight, who's going to be? It's going to be Danny Ige. Danny Ige is fucking durable. And he hit like a truck. I've seen Woodson drop before. I've seen Woodson getting finished before. As far as I'm concerned, he should be 13-2. That Saldana fight, I mean, I'm happy I didn't have money on Saldana like Couch had, because I would be pissed. I mean, the guy fumbled the bag. He had him. Like, he fumbled the bag. I don't think I've ever seen something as bad as that since that fight. So it was bad. I think
Turner Moicano was maybe close.
Yeah, it was, but it had some context into it, at least after that Bobby Green fight and all that stuff. By the way, it's crazy that Turner retired at this age. But yeah, going back to this fight, I think that Ige could also win a decision based on landing the bigger shot. And like you guys mentioned, Woodson, good minute winner, but he's never like blowing against anybody. Like, he's never like blowing someone 30-27 and dominating. It's always close. Caceres fight was close. Jordan fight was close. Like, all of them are close. So could he win a 29-28 decision here? Yeah, for sure. But he's minus 190, minus 180. So what upside do you have? I don't think you have much. And then you add the fact that he's taking a step up in competition and Danny Ige is taking a step down in competition. And you look into their resume, would they've been fighting, would they've been losing to? And another thing, Danny Ige, not good in decision, but most of the guys he's losing to, a lot of them are taking him down, are grappler, or beast, or top 5 striker in the division. So he's losing to them, and he's never getting like beat up. He's always in close fights. So could Woodson hedge it? Yeah, he could. But could Danny Ige go out there and knock him out cold in the first round? He absolutely could. And I think he could also win a decision. So you give me a guy that's like plus 145, plus 150, and I think he has multiple paths to victory. And I think we're going to, and also Danny Ige, when he take that step down in competition, normally he handle business and he do it by impressive fashion. Andre Feely, Nate Landwehr, Damon Jackson, he's losing to top 5-10 guys. So yeah, I think he's going to go out there, remind everybody on Saturday night and knock this guy out. And yeah, he's much bigger, he's much taller, but when he's going to fall on the ground, it's going to look great.
Let's go, you bastard. You talked me into it.
Javi's been talking me into it all week so
Hope
far.
I got Mike into it too. I mean, bro, and by the way, GB, that's gonna be a left hook in the pocket that's gonna put him out. That's what I've seen.
All right, we can move on. We're on to the main card now. Sick main card. First fight, Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Tyler, your turn.
Krylov's going to head kick him. That's what I see happening. I'm envisioning it. I'm envisioning this, and I have been for a while. I've had somebody on my Patreon that we've been going back and forth. He was on the Reyes side, and I was like, no, I think Krylov head kicks him. And then the other day he was like, oh yeah, both the guys at Sherdog said he was going to head kick him too, and then he was getting nervous, and I was like, that's wild that we're all calling specific method. But yeah, I think it happens. Dude's got nasty kicks to all levels off either leg. He's got good blitzes. I understand it's been a long layoff, so like I get it if you're nervous about the line, but yeah, give me Krylov with the head kick.
All right, how about you, JB?
This is an interesting one, man, because Dominic Reyes, like, it depends really what version of him shows up here, in my opinion. Krylov been out for a little bit, so I think it's could be a winnable fight for him, but I just tend to think like Dominic Reyes is past his point of like where he was in the John Jones fight. I think the takedown defense could be a question here, even though historically he's had good takedown defense. I think with the health issues, he could slow down and possibly be getting taken down here. And when he does get taken down, I could even see a sub. Even though like he's chinny, I also think on the ground, Krylov's a dangerous finisher. The later the fight goes, I think Reyes could maybe start to find some success with his boxing, but I don't think it's going to get there. I think Krylov is going to finish him. I think Glimbot makes a decent point here, and I'm interested in what you guys think on it because I could be talked into some violence here. 10 of their last fights have gone over 2.5, so that's a 80% hit on the under. But is it because of their opponents? And I think this could be a violent spot. Both guys pretty aggressive in the beginning. Like I said, Reyes has finishing potential, but he can be finished. I'd be interested in what y'all think about that one, but it's a pass for me.
All right, how about you, Javi?
Yeah, it's not a fight I have interest betting, to be honest. A lot of unknowns on the Krylov side. Shoulder injury, 2 years layoff, coming back after that. But to me, the biggest difference maker in this fight is the durability. I think Krylov is one of the most durable light heavyweight on the roster. Amazing chin. He could get submitted, but like he's not going to get submitted here against Reyes. But I think his chin is one of the best in that division. I think Reyes' chin has been cracked multiple times and not been tested in his last 2 fights, and that's something people kind of tend to forget. So Krylov's a madman. He's hittable. He's going to go for the kill. He's going to kill or be killed. So yeah, violence makes sense, and Reyes does hit hard, but Krylov KO for me, if anything, fading the fact that Reyes' chin is back and he's back at it now when he's not being hit hard in his last 2 fights. So yeah, Krylov KO is like plus 350. That's the way I would go personally.
All right. Tyler,
It was plus 350, but that line crashed, it looks like.
The KO?
Yeah, for Krylov KO. It looks like the best I'm seeing is Bovada has plus 300 now, but everywhere else is in the 2s.
No, I see plus 340 on Rivers and FanDuel. Maybe he got it. I'm seeing on best fight odds, so I don't know on the actual books.
You still use best fight odds?
Depending on the books, because on fight odds, I don't have all of them.
Mm-hmm.
For the
I didn't even know best fight odds is still going.
Same.
Yeah, for the props on FanDuel, if you look into fight odds, you don't have it. You don't have all of them. So for like the lines, I go to fight odds, but for the props, I watch on best fight odds.
You can go back and like look at them historically too on best fight odds. That's something good. So if you're interested to see like what a prop was, sometimes you can't like go back and look on fight odds, but best fight odds.
Out.
But yeah, so for me, I like Krylov to win. I also can't really get there though at chalk with the layoff, with the fact that his cardio is like good, but he does kind of slow down. And just to lay off the shoulder surgery. And like I wouldn't put it past Reyes being able to win this fight if his durability holds up. Like he is a cleaner striker. But at the same time, he needs space to operate, and Krylov is a guy who just does not give you any damn space at all. And I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, but Krylov won't be able to take him down. John Jones barely could. I just feel like it's different. Like skill for skill in MMA, yeah, John Jones is much better than Krylov. He's a better pure wrestler probably too. But John Jones is calculated, cool, calm, collected. Krylov is the opposite. He's just going to come rushing at you, throwing big shots and going for the takedowns, and it's just not the same. And I think he is going to be able to take Reyes down. I think he will be able to threaten submissions, maybe even sub him. But with the takedown upside, with the fact that I don't trust Reyes' chin at all, like I'll back him as like a significant underdog versus certain guys. Yeah, sure, I did against Jacoby, but him not getting knocked out by Jacoby, him not getting knocked out by Anthony Smith doesn't tell me his chin is back. And I know that Ryan Spann hits really hard, but it was a jab. It wasn't like a big shot. It was just a jab, and that knocked him out. So I think Krylov probably puts him away early. Even if he doesn't, I lean towards him being able to win to a decision. But with the shoulder surgery, with the layoff, I can't get there at chalk. How about you, Tyler?
I started off head kick.
Oh, right. How could I forget your bold head kick prediction with the guys with Shirt Dog?
It's definitely happening.
Book it. Are there any books that allow you to bet method of knockout?
I don't think so. I think it's because you often get the ground and pound follow up regardless of if it's necessary. So
grading it would be tricky.
Yeah. It makes it really hard to like call like what specifically did it.
True. But all right, we can move on. Next up, we've got Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Sick fight. JB, start us off.
Let's go. Finally, after all these years, Pitbull has made it to the UFC. And he's got a very tough matchup here in front of him, Yair Rodriguez, who is a dangerous striker, has very a huge speed advantage on most of the fighters that he goes up against. His kicks has a very good variety of kicks when he approaches these fighters. And he has clean boxing as well. He can be put on the ground, though. We've seen him taken down in the past. When he's on the ground, he tends to attack submissions to try and get up to the feet, and he can get his guard passed in the process of doing so. He has spent long periods on his back. Both guys have good cardio, but maybe I'll coin my own term here. I'm sure it's been talked about before, but cardio IQ. I think Pitbull has very good cardio IQ, and not only good cardio, but he knows how to use it. He's economical with it. He's smart into getting into these exchanges. If he hurts somebody, he's not going to go full rabies. He can be hurt here by Yair Rodriguez, but historically, I think he is durable. The age does worry me. The recent knockout losses worry me a little bit, but I think Mike might have mentioned this on his show because I do go back and like look at certain fights if I'm feeling strongly, and like people that are just wiki capping this fight are going to think like, oh, he's lost to these guys that like the Asian guy, I forget his name. Suzuki. And as well as Sergio Pettis, who's very legitimate. As you mentioned, the weight cut in that fight, I think, had a huge thing to do with that. I remember I took Sergio Pettis in that spot thinking, Pitbull's got a really good chance if the weight cut goes right, but often not. We don't see guys that late in their career making a big change and going up against a tough test. So, yeah, I think his path here is going to be to walk forward on Yair. It's hard to kick when somebody's pressuring you and putting you on the back foot. I think that's what Pitbull could do here. I think he can put Yair Rodriguez on his back if he does decide to go there. And even if he doesn't, I think he can land the more powerful shots. Yair, has very big actions, right? It's hard and it makes him tricky, but I think his cardio IQ can be questionable sometimes. Not just questionable, it's the style of the way he fights. I think, these big motions, right? He's weaving and coming into these big kicks. Like over time, I think that's like less sustainable as the rounds go on. Not that he completely death gasses, but it makes it harder for him to land those techniques. Like if you're playing UFC 5, right? And you're trying to land a spinning back kick in round 4, it's going to be a lot harder than in round 1, right? Those big actions drain the stamina and maybe they don't land as hard, right? So I think Pitbull gets out of round 1 here, and he could be looking like a really good underdog this week. I think he walks Yair down, blocks some kicks. Maybe there's some sketchy moments, but overall, I trust him to get inside where he needs to be, land some good shots, because it's not like Yair's unhittable. He can be hit on the feet. We've seen it in the past. And when you got a guy in front of you that completely injures himself in the first round and you're absolutely ping-ponging them to death and you let them come back on you, I cannot trust you as a favorite. Give me Pitbull to win this fight. I think he wins it by decision.
All right, Dravi.
Another strong read for me on the money line side. I could see both guys winning, but what I do like is some violence. I think it's gonna be again a violent fight. I could see because Pitbull he's a good fighter, right? He's a very solid guy, good grappling, big power in his hands, and all that. But to me, one of the things is like he's 37 and his durability is a bit on the decline, right? He got hurt against Jeremy Kennedy, he got hurt put down against Suzuki. I think against AJ McKee too. So there's a couple of his fights where he got hurt or he got finished. So I don't think he's chinny or anything. But if Yair Rodriguez has one thing, is he's fucking dangerous, especially early with his kicks and all that. He has a lot of different weapons, and Yair on the ground could be exposed, could be finished. So if Pitbull go to the grappling here, he has a very good guillotine, and I think he could submit him. And on the feet, I think they can both land a KO blow. So I have to trust Yair a bit more, just because at the end of the day, Pitbull's 37, making his UFC debut, and it's not an easy task here, when you're not in your prime anymore. So I think Yair is the rightful favorite, but I do agree with you guys in the sense that I think the line's a bit wide. It should be a bit closer. But I think someone's going to get served probably. So the fight doesn't go. I think it's a good look in this one. That's the way I'm leaning betting wise, rather than picking a side. But again, I think Pitbull moneyline have some value, so I don't mind that. But I'm going to pick Yair to get it done, and probably by KO.
All right. For me, like if I'm just making a pick, I'll go Yair because of the size, the speed advantage, and the youth. And Pitbull is 37 at this point, and maybe the chin's a little bit concerning, but it's a major dog or pass spot for me. And I think Pitbull is really live. Like, yeah, he is giving up a lot of size here, but he always gives up size, almost always, except when he went down to fight Pettis. And like Jeremy Kennedy's 5'11", AJ McKee, I'm pretty sure is right there. Adam Boric is a big dude. I'm pretty sure he's also 5'11". So they're around the same size as Yair. And I'd say Boric is a comparable opponent, maybe not as fast, maybe not as dangerous as Yair, but a comparable opponent. And he's fought these bigger guys. And like, yeah, Jeremy Kennedy hurt him, but Jeremy Kennedy just hurt Movlid also last weekend in PFL. Should have won that fight too. I had no money there, but Jeremy should have won that fight. So he's got some power, and like the guy Suzuki, the guy who knocked out Pitbull, that dude's got power, and he's also not a bad fighter at all. It's just like people who don't know, so they're just looking at it and saying like, oh, he's been knocked out by like, who is this guy over in Risen? Like, it's a good guy that he got knocked out by. It happens, and it's a very young and explosive guy. Yair can knock him out 100%, but Yair does tend to fade. Yair does tend to wilt a little bit. Yair can be taken down, and I think that if you take away the kicks, you take away his range, you put him on his back foot, and Pitbull can have a lot of success. He has very good leg kicks. Those will be good weapons here as well, and I just think he can get it done. I think decision only is a nice look for Pitbull. It's like plus 200, plus 210 on Bet Rivers. Maybe it's moved, but that was earlier today, so I doubt it. I think that's nice. It's not to say that Yair can't win a decision, but if it goes the distance, I lean towards Pitbull being a better minute winner over 15 minutes with the cardio, with the grappling upside. And then that way you're covered if the durability doesn't hold up and Yair does put him away. It'll suck if Pitbull comes out there and knocks him out in the first round or subs him, but that's the game we play. So that's probably how I would target it. But yeah, I think it's dog or pass, and I'm rooting for Pitbull. I really want to see him get a UFC win. And if he beats Yair, I wouldn't be shocked if they shoved him into a title picture pretty quickly, because he has 37 and they're probably paying him pretty decent money. So yeah. How about you, Tyler?
What I want to know is why anybody in their right mind thinks Mr. 305 is going to lose in Miami. Are you kidding me? Pitbull, let's go. This card is featuring Pitbull, just like every song in 2010, 2011. I think Pitbull is the rightful favorite here because of that. Just alone, the fact that they're in Miami just screams Pitbull. And if he doesn't walk out to a Pitbull song, he totally dropped the ball. But in all seriousness, here's how I see it. Yeah, sure, Pitbull could come forward and pressure him, but what I think he's going to do instead, I think he's going to stay way out of range. I think he's going to be uncomfortably out of range. And it's going to frustrate Yair, obviously, because Yair is going to be like, dude, I got to hit you with one of these big shots if I want to hurt you. And you're staying way the heck over there. And every time Yair is going to try and come in with a big shot, Pitbull's, instead of, trying to counter anything, he's just going to evacuate. And he's not going to do anything for a while. And that's going to really, really frustrate Yair. And after he does that a few times, that's when I see Pitbull changing it up and saying, gotcha, I know your timing now. And that's when he comes in for the counter strike. And that's when he's going to start taking over. I think he's going to try to find that timing by just really frustrating a guy like Yair, who wants to use his dynamic striking, wants to get in and land these big shots on him as he's coming in. And Pitbull's going to stay way, way too far out until he's ready to get that counter shot. Because that's, if you watch his career, that's what he's been doing towards the end for the most part, towards like the latter end of his career. We don't see him fight the way he did when he fought Michael Chandler anymore. Although, how many people have just completely knocked out Michael Chandler with one shot? Not very many. Pitbull did. So the dude can crack. So he definitely could sit down Yair for sure. And I mean, this is a guy that was holding the 155-pound title at Bellator and knocking guys out at 155 pounds as a pretty small featherweight. I mean, he was small enough to make bantamweight. So that's pretty crazy also. But yeah, I think Pitbull, especially as an underdog, is the pick. In Miami, come on now. I hope he walks out to a Pitbull song. That would be way too funny. But yeah, we're taking Patricio.
All right, there we go. And we can move on to the next fight and my most anticipated fight of the night. Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Dravi, you're starting us off for this one.
I disagree with a lot of people here. I know a lot of guys are on Bryce Mitchell, but I think he's probably going to get knocked out in this fight. And I predict a lot of knockout in this card, all right? So I hope I'm right because it's going to be a fun card. But I think Gene Silva striking is insanely good. His power, his accuracy, his counters, is the weapons that he has, the elbows, the uppercut, the left hook, everything that he has is very fucking good. And he's also very strong. So he's going to, like at Fighting Nerds, they know the game plan. They watch a lot of tapes. And to go back to the Charles Jourdain fight, because all I've heard this week is people posting the clip on Twitter about Jourdain's taking him down twice or three times in the fight, then nobody's talking about how that fight ended, though. And nobody's talking about the fact that he lost the first round, even if he had success wrestling, because he got put down. And then in round 2, he got put on his ass again, and he got knocked out for the first time in his MMA career. That's the point where people are kind of not talking about, right? But they want to show the clip where he got taken down because of that, Bryce Mitchell could do the same and maybe win. But Bryce Mitchell could also get knocked out like he did against Georges Emmett, right? People kind of forget. But watching this fight is like preparing for Charles. He didn't know he would come out there trying to wrestle like that. He never does that in his fight. I'm a fan of his, Jourdain. He never does that. That's not his game. And there's a reason why he did that. And I've listened to an interviews in French. I followed this guy for a long time. And he said, I've never been hit as hard as this guy hit me. He hit me so hard, I didn't know where I was. So he said, it was a good stoppage. He hit me so hard. He said, like, nobody hit hard like Gene Silva. So I trust him. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to say this for nothing. And if you look into the last 3 guys that he's finished and yet he has been knocked out, like Drew Dober, very durable dude. And then Melsick, when Melsick is losing, that's because he's getting tired. That's because he's getting grappled, not because he's getting knocked out in the first round. Another guy who's never been KO'd, Gene Silva said, okay, thank you, goes to the next and handle business. I just think this dude's different. I think Mike's going to hate me, but I think he has the aura, and you really do.
I've come around to the aura. I've come around to it.
But I think this dude's different. I really do. Now, could Bryce have success? Could Bryce grapple? Could he take him down? Yes, I think he could. But I think Silva made good job at getting back up when taking down. And I think that if he get taken down, he's probably going to be able to get back up. And if you go back to the Dan Ige fight, another guy that can get taken down, and Dan Ige did a lot of damage and arguably won that fight, against Bryce. And I just think that Silva is going to be harder to take down, harder to hold down, and it's going to be maybe even more dangerous because Dan Ige is very dangerous, but over the course of 15 minutes, he's not as dangerous in round 3 per se. But Silva, the thing I like about him is that he carries power late, and he's still as precise as the fight goes on. That's also another thing, is that he's not like gonna slow down. I don't think he's gonna slow down, and he's strong. So yeah, I think he's gonna be fine here. I think he's gonna knock him out, and people are gonna be happy because people hate Bryce Mitchell. I don't even pay attention about the outside of the cage stuff and all that shit. I don't care about it. I'm watching tapes. I'm going with what I see. And could I see Bryce landing takedowns? Yeah, but then what he's gonna do with them? I don't think he's gonna submit him. I don't think he's gonna hold him down for 2-3 rounds. I don't see it. Maybe he does it for a round, but then what? We go back into round 3 and the fight start back on the feet. And on the feet, Bryce is not a bad striker, but there's levels, and the counters that Silva has and the precision that he has, and also the uppercut and the knee that he time off takedowns attempt, very fucking good. So I think Bryce gonna run into something and get knocked out. And the beauty about it is I think it could be in any round. So yeah, man, very good fight. A fight that I'm very excited to see how it's gonna play out. But I think Silva is very legit. But market agree because he was a big favorite. Now, if you bet Bryce plus 3xx, I can't say it's a bad bet. I understand it. But now we're talking about the line has come down, and I think he's maybe a good parlay piece at the current price. So, yeah, it's Gene Silva for me, and I think by knockout.
Yeah, I mean, if I had taped it in time when he was like plus 370, plus 400, I probably would have put my biases aside and would have bit the bullet and bet on Bryce. Like, I'm a guy who I think I do a pretty good job at putting aside any bias I have, whether I like a fighter or I don't like a fighter, and I try not to bet based on that. I think I do a good job. So I would have bet like plus 370 because that's kind of nuts with the fact that Silva, he's just untested. We don't really know what it's going to look like if someone's grappling him for 15 minutes and actually having success. But there's like a few narratives this week that are driving me crazy. Like Dravi touched on one, the Jourdain thing. And, like I saw one today where it was the Jourdain takedowns, and they put the last takedown and then they cut it off right before the knockout. They just cut it off. And I wonder why. I wonder why that's when they stopped it. Because no. Let's not focus on the result of the fight. Let's just focus on the fact that he got 3 takedowns. And what Dravi said is exactly what I've been saying all week and what I think too. I just think Gene Silva didn't even consider the fact that Jourdain might go for the takedowns. It's not something he was expecting. And good job by Jourdain to mix that into his game because he wasn't expecting it and you were able to take him down even though you're not really a wrestler. Gene Silva knew about this matchup. It's been only a month, so you could argue maybe he didn't have enough time to prepare for someone like Bryce. That would be a valid argument to make. But I think that at the gym he's at, I think he's going to be okay with the counter grappling. He's a very athletic dude. He's a very explosive dude, and I think he's going to be fine. I'm not really worried about a Patty sub because who the hell is Patty subbing outside of Matt Sales? Nobody. And I just think that at the end of the day, Gene Silva is going to have a huge advantage on the feet.
A bright sub, bro. Patty's in the next fight, bro.
Did I say Patty?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's been a really long day, and I'm over here. I have the odds open, and I'm just looking at the list. Bryce. I don't think Patty gets a sub either, but we'll talk about that one soon. I don't think Bryce gets a sub because who is he subbed? Matt Sales. And since then, nobody. And I just don't think Silva's going to be easy to sub. I don't think he's going to be easy to hold down. I think the advantage on the feet is very significant for Silva. And I think he knocks out Bryce sooner or later. And not just because I think Bryce is chinny or something because Emmett hurt him. I just think that Silva can knock out people who are not chinny. And I think that Bryce will probably be one of them. And I think Gene's going to put him away. I'm not interested in betting Gene at minus 250, minus 240 because of the question marks I have with the grappling. I wouldn't put it past Bryce. But at the same time, I don't really have much interest in Bryce either. Oh, and the other narrative I wanted to talk about was the whole comparing Brito versus Sabatini to this fight, which is just, to me, doesn't make much sense. I bet on Sabatini last week. I put 2 units on him at plus 190.
Congrats.
I don't have interest here.
One of the best bet on the year, bro. Congrats.
You had the same one. Yeah. And like the read there was very different. Like my read going into that fight, I mean, Dravi's maybe was different, but my read going into the Sabatini Brito fight was A, Brito's been taken down and controlled before. B, he slows down really, really hard. So if he doesn't put Pat away and Pat's taking him down, he's going to slow down, and that explosiveness and that power starts to go away. When is Brito knocking people out in the 3rd round? Pretty much never. So to me, that was very different. I don't see those concerns with Silva. Silva's not a low output guy. Silva's a guy with very high output. Silva's not a guy who's going to sit around and look for counters. Silva's a guy who will put you on your back foot and is moving forward. Silva's a guy who's not going to slow down, who's going to keep going and going. So I don't think this matchup is even close. And I also think that Sabatini is better top control, but you can argue that either way. I think.
And he's better at finding the sub too.
Yeah, that too. I like I said, I don't think Mitchell / Patty gets the sub. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Tyler, I don't think you've gone yet.
I have not. Yeah, I think Silva's probably going to put it on him. It's one of those things where, like, could Bryce get takedowns and control? Yeah, absolutely, he totally could. That was way too funny bringing that up. That was because he just got here, so that's even funnier. But yeah, realistically, I think Silva's going to be too much. He's going to be landing the damage, and like even if Bryce is able to get some takedowns, like man, he's got to do that for 3 rounds. So I got to go Silva. I was too much of a chicken to parlay him, so I didn't. But I'll just watch the fight and I'll pick Silva. That's what it is.
This is a fight I'm fine just watching. I would prefer to just watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the line keeps crashing, I can't say that I wouldn't get involved. Like a Gene Silva -160 maybe.
Oh yeah, if it's -160, I couldn't.
That could be a fun time.
No chance.
If we get there, but otherwise, I'm down to just watch.
Yeah, same.
But all right, JB, how about you?
No way, man. No way I'm going with Bryce in the spot. Gene Silva all day, bro. Let's go.
Dude, wouldn't that have been hilarious, though, if you came in and you were like, yeah, no, dude, I'm going with Bryce.
You go out
Like
there
of
with
all
the people,
people.
and he's like there.
Nah, I
Bryce
can't go against my
season.
people, bro. Bryce is going night,
And-
baby.
Yeah, seriously.
How the fuck Bryce gonna beat someone that has a Lord riding on his chest? That's the question too.
Bryce is so upset about that tattoo too.
Yeah.
This presser is going to be the best thing of all time, bro.
It's a good thing we did Wednesday today because otherwise we'd be going head-to-head with the presser most likely, which would have been nobody watching
A
us.
disaster, yeah. But all right, is that it, JB? You're muted. Still muted. Still muted.
No way. No way. I'm tired. What
No,
about
you're
now?
good. You're
Oh,
good
dude,
now.
It said I wasn't on mute. All right, bro. Fuck.
Yeah.
Gene Silva all day. That's what I said.
All right, cool. Let's move on. Next up, we've got Michael Chandler versus Patty Pimblett. I'll start us off here. I like Chandler. I really do. I've just been trying to time this at this point and trying to figure out the line movement because I'm notoriously horrible at line movement. It's like a cruel joke at this point. I'll try to time it. I'll make my play, and then the line just crashes the other way immediately. So I'm just going to try my best here. But I do like Chandler. I honestly, outside of like a robbery and like, I'm really hesitant to buy into the whole like rigged fights thing. I'm sure it happens sometimes. I just don't think it happens a lot. But like the Patty Gordon thing, the way they showed Dana afterwards and the way he like gave that nod, that was probably the closest I've ever came to actually believing in a rigged fight or a rigged decision at least. So I am worried about something like that maybe because like why are they giving him Michael Chandler at this point? To probably build him up. Why'd they make this a 5-rounder? Because they don't think it's going to go 5 rounds. They think Patty gets a finish and they can, pitch him to maybe a title shot soon. But for me, it's like I really don't really see it with Patty. Either the robbery decision, which I'm not going to bet on a -140 or any kind of chalk based on, or I'm never going to make a bet based on an assumption of maybe a robbery. And it's like maybe he can sub him, sure. Like I can see maybe Chandler taking him down. He's a little more tired. And then Patty locks in something off his back. Like I know that Chandler survived Oliveira for a while. I know that Chandler historically has very good submission defense. And like I don't put a ton of stock into the Poirier sub because it was after a war. But he can slow down and maybe then Patty can get it. But like even that said, like I said, like Poirier and him went to war before that happened. And I can't see Patty competing in a war like that with Chandler. I really can't. I don't think he can outstrike Chandler. I don't think he can take Chandler's shots. His chin is still way up in the air. The defense hasn't changed a bit since he got to the UFC and Luigi Vendramini hurt him in that first round when they were fighting. Nothing's changed in terms of defense with Patty. So like on the feet, I favor Chandler significantly. Power, I give to Chandler. Cardio, majorly given to Chandler from me. especially over 5 rounds. Like, I don't trust Patty over 5. He slows down over 3 really hard. He was exhausted in the Tony Ferguson fight. What is he going to look like after a war with Chandler? We've seen Chandler go to war for 3 rounds with Justin Gaethje. We've seen him go to war with Dustin Poirier. We've seen this guy go to war time and time again, and he does slow down a little bit, but like, all things considered, the cardio is pretty damn solid, and I can't say the same about Patty. And then, does Patty have the wrestling to take Chandler down and submit him? No. Who's he taking down? He's never gotten more than 1 takedown in a fight in the UFC ever, and I double checked that. He hasn't. Tony Ferguson, he went 1-4. So, like, a lot of these fights, he's just not getting his takedowns when he's shooting, and I cannot see him taking Chandler down personally. I can see Chandler taking him down and getting submitted that way, possibly, but I can also see Chandler taking him down, staying safe, and winning minutes that way also. So for me, this is a Chandler a pass spot. I think Chandler gets it done. I think he can knock him out. I think he can win a decision if it's not rigged. And yeah, I really do favor Chandler here. I know a lot of people are pointing at his record. They're saying, oh, look, he's never beaten anybody good, just Dan Hooker and Tony. But you line up Patty with those same guys, especially in the same order. You give him for his debut, you give him Dan Hooker. How do you think that goes? Like, then you give him freaking Justin Gaethje. Like, how do you think Justin Gaethje versus Patty goes? How do you think Dustin Poirier versus Patty goes? How do you think Patty versus Charles Oliveira goes? I mean, come on. His record would look the same as Chandler's, I think. If you gave him the same exact opponents in that same order, I think the records would look the same, except I think Patty would lose to Hooker, whereas Chandler beat him. So I like Chandler to win. I think he's a good dog shot, and I'll probably get there. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, so the only thing I really can disagree with you like hard on is that you said you could see Chandler staying safe on top. I can't see Chandler staying safe doing anything. The dude just wants to get into like a war. Honestly, I kind of like Glenn Bott's Patty by decision. That sounds like it almost seems too good to be true, but it could legitimately hit. For the sake of a pick, I'll take Patty, but I'm going to play both of them at plus money because I got Patty when he was still plus money, and I have every intention of getting on Chandler when I find the right line. It might be there now, but I think closer to the fight day, I think we're going to get back up in the plus 140s, maybe even 150 on Chandler. So I'm going to take the free money on this one. Absolutely 100%. I said that when the line dropped to all my people on the Patreon chat. I was like, guys, I'm taking the plus money on Patty now. It's going to flip. That happens. It's Patty. Like, people bet on the guy, especially close to the fight. So I'll be playing both sides for sure. I'm going to take Patty to win though, because I do think that he totally has the chance of just getting that decision that you're like, what? But also, dude's a legit grappler, and I can see Chandler doing something stupid because Chandler cares too much about having a fun fight and not enough about winning fights. So I'll take Patty, but I definitely could also see Chandler showing levels here. So no strong take.
All right, fair enough. JB?
I mean, at some point, he's going to have to try and win a fight, or they're just going to boot him at a certain point, right? Like, so,
you would hope, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a winnable fight for him. I just could not trust Patty Pimblett. I don't think he's a good fighter, in my opinion. Does he have good attributes? Yeah, he could land low kicks here, which we've seen obviously hurt Chandler in the past. Could take away the power. But I think as the fight goes on, he can slow down. Chandler can slow down too or fall off a cliff, but I think that's when he tries to go for finishes that he doesn't get. And like we all know, Scousers can't be knocked out. Or as my man Cody Garbrandt said, sorcerers, they don't get knocked out. I don't know, bro. I think Cody Garbrandt might be the new Tito Ortiz of the UFC, bro. Very possible. But that being said, I think Chandler is super explosive. He's the better athlete. I think he's going to land the harder shots when they do connect. Durability, I give a slight edge to Patty, but I don't think it matters. Kicks I give to, like I said, Patty, but Chandler is not like a complete slouch there. And I think Chandler could top time him here. I know Patty's got good jiu-jitsu, but I think when he does wind up on bottom, Chandler, if he stays safe from the jiu-jitsu, could land some really hard shots or just win rounds by laying on top of him here. I could see Chandler like even fighting a smart fight here, as crazy as that sounds, especially if he sees Patty gas out. He sees that the wrestling is working. I think we could see Chandler possibly use that here. And early it's going to be scary because they're dry. Patty's obviously, like I said, very dangerous. But I don't see him getting to the backpack like he did against Levitt. I don't see him just kicking him and Chandler falling into a guillotine and then winding up in a triangle. Like, Patty's got good jiu-jitsu. He's in incredible shape for this fight. I will say that. And, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if the guy's on a bunch of steroids, but it's going to make you stronger. Like, he's got durability, power here, but I think skill for skill. I can't trust Patty Tundley. I don't think he's good, and I'll probably never bet on him at a chalk price. And I just think at some point somebody's going to beat him, and this might be the time, man. Give me Chandler here.
Let's go. Javi?
Yeah, I think the time to bet on Patty was last fight against Bobby Green when he was an underdog. Not this time around when he's a favorite and the fight's way more dangerous for him. There's concern about Chandler because of the age, and the career trajectory on both sides is kind of massive on the side of Patty. But yeah, I can't ignore the fact that Chandler has very good chances to look like a favorite and bunk him. And that have cardio upside, wrestling upside, and you said that Patty is probably on steroid. If Patty's on steroid, Chandler is probably on steroid too, man. He's built like a fucking. But he's training hard to his credit. He's always in the gym. They live like a completely different lifestyle, which is kind of crazy. Like, Chandler's always in the gym, always disciplined. You like that. You like to see that in fighters. And Patty's getting fat between fights, but. Yeah, I think Chandler should probably win this, but it's scary because of the age, because, you know, he's getting older, his durability is not the best, and I think Patty could have success with leg kicks and could potentially catch him in the sub. But if it was 3 rounds, I would feel better for Patty than it is 5. But I don't even think the fight goes out there. Like, I think it's going to be finished in 3 rounds, but I think Chandler is more likely to finish, and I kind of favor him if the fight goes into the later rounds. So, yeah, I'm just not sure if I want to bet him. I have not decided yet. Well, I need to think about it still, and I'm waiting on the price. If it get better, I might play him, but I think he's gonna win.
All right. We can move on to the main event. We've got Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Talking about aura. Tyler, start us off.
I hate this for if I wasn't a content creator, I would love this fight. Like, I think it's fun, but I am a content creator. So I hate this because here's the problem. Like, I don't want to root against either of these guys, but like inevitably I'm going to be sitting there like, oh, I don't want to get another pick wrong, hurts my picking percentage, and that matters to me now because, you know, whatever. So I can't just watch it as a fan. Even if I don't bet on it, I still have that, like, you have to deal with all the comments afterwards of like, I can't believe you picked this guy and he lost. So you gotta kind of take that. I think Volk is the better fighter, but he could totally just die again. Like, he could, I mean, you get back-to-back knockout losses is not a good sign. But at the same time, like, skill for skill, I think he's the better fighter. And it's tough. And like, I don't have any intention of betting on this fight. Unless there was like a ridiculously like unrealistic line on Volk decision only. Like, if somehow that was like a reasonable line, like minus 120 or better, I would play it. But I don't think
No way.
Like, it's going to be like minus 400 or something.
I'll check, but you're probably right about that.
Yeah, like that would be the only thing I could even get myself to, because I think Volk is the better minute winner by a lot, but at
Minus
the same time,
225.
how much?
Minus 225.
That's almost playable. Like,
I thought it would be worse.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, I literally thought minus 400 would be reasonable because
Let me check Bet Rivers.
he's got such good minute winning ability in pretty much every fight. Man, if he gets clipped again, I mean, it's hard to. I mean, Lopez hits hard, right? And now I'm really invested in Volk. Like, I was considering thinking like, okay, maybe I'll switch to Lopez later in the week if I feel like Volk isn't having it. But the amount of crap I've gotten in the comments for picking Volk originally, now I'm like fully invested in Volk, and I don't even have I gave it like the lowest confidence score on my confidence rating. I don't have any money on it, but now I'm fully invested in Volk winning because I've been pigeonholed into it. I'm a sucker. So we're going Volk, ride or die. And then if he gets knocked out, I'm going to be very sad. That's what happened. But I don't recommend betting on this one unless you're unless you got plus money on both sides, but that's it.
All right, JB.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting it. Hold on.
You're good.
All right, I don't want to get copyrighted, but yeah.
Oh yeah, good call.
True.
I'm in the land down under. My man's gonna come out to the ring, and Diego Lopez, his heart's gonna start beating because he knows he's gonna be going up against one of the greatest featherweights of all time, Alexander the Great Volkanovski. And I know there's some questions on the man's durability, and there's some fair questions for sure. But if you can't hit the man, right? If you can't hit the man, it doesn't matter. And Volk's got some of the best feints in the game. He's very smart with his IQ. He's got some nasty low kicks that I think could piece up Diego Lopez in the spot and slow down the power of him. Diego Lopez, like, he's good in the breaks off the clinch. He can crack people. Like, he cracked Ortega early, but I don't know if he's going to be able to crack Volk early. And, yeah, if he just goes to sleep like he has lately, yeah, it's going to be a problem, right? But you're going up against guys like Islam Makhachev on short notice, who's hitting you with a nasty high kick, some of the best striking, at 155. Remember, this is at 145. Now he comes down. I thought that was a really, interesting thing. Now coming down against one of the best punchers in the division, in Ilia Topuria. Topuria is very high IQ in the way he fights, and he had to pin this guy up against the cage. Finally, when he had his spot, he unleashed and unloaded. Diego Lopez isn't that high of an IQ fighter. He's going to have to find his spots here. And I think at any point in, past the first round, once they get sweaty, Volk could probably take him down and survive the jiu-jitsu. I don't know. He might be another Darren Elkins, right? When Ortega had him in that deep guillotine choke, he did not want to tap. When he had him in that triangle, he did not want to tap. Now, Diego Lopez got some nasty jiu-jitsu. Let's not get it wrong. The way he just tossed around Pat Sabatini, treated him like a little boy, that was, eye-opening for me. And, as well as the triangle armbar over Gavin Tucker. Gavin Tucker, high-level jiu-jitsu, question where he was at in the career, and obviously Volk's way better than any of the people that Diego Lopez has beaten. A lot of people, are going to give him an excuse for the Dan Ige fight, but he was the one who had time to prepare for that fight, regardless of any, short notice opponent change. When you're taking a guy that's literally coming in on 30 minutes, whatever it was, some ridiculous short time notice, I give you the advantage. And he slowed down in that fight in the third round. Dan Ige was able to pick it up on him, and Volk is a level above Dan Ige. So if Volk's completely washed, I'll take the L, bro. Diego Lopez catches him. He's a fun-loving guy, good aura, as we like to say. But at the end of the day, I think Volk is the better fighter. He's going to land low kicks. He's going to keep the feints going, and I give him the edge basically everywhere here besides maybe pure jiu-jitsu, and I think he's able to defend that past the first round. So if Lopez doesn't KO him early, Volk all day, and I think he doesn't get KO'd. We back, baby. Volk season.
All right, Dravi.
I also like the Volkanovski side, but I'm not gonna sit there and act like I'm confident by any means. I think he's the right side betting wise, and I think he's gonna win. But it's a tricky fight for me personally. We can't ignore how dangerous Lopez is. You can talk shit about him and say that sometimes his gas tank's not great and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, he hit very hard. And I think that I've noticed that could be an issue is the leg kicks. He has good leg kicks to his credit. He hurt Danny Gay legs, and he also dropped Ortega with the leg kicks. He only landed like 9 or 10 leg kicks, and he fucked up those legs. So that's an issue because Volkanovski will rely on footwork a lot. So that could be a problem. But yeah, I think Lopez is going to need to catch him early to win this fight more than likely. And I think he has about 10 minutes to do it. Now, I'll say I don't think in round 3 he's going to be dead tired. I think he's going to be tired in round 4 and 5. And Ortega fight in round 3, he hurt Ortega and he was doing well. Remember, he almost finished him in the first round, and it looked like he blew his gas tank, but he didn't. In round 3 was fine. So I don't think he has like 10 minutes of cardio per se, but I think as the fight goes on and as we go in round 3, 4, 5, the danger diminish a lot. And now the BJJ is insanely dangerous, but I don't think he's going to take Volk down. And if the fight's on the feet, I mean, Volkanovski is just so much better. His fight IQ is elite, and he's also one of these guys that have elite preparation, elite training camp. So he knows the game plan. He knows you need to be careful early. And as the fight goes on, I could see Volk taking him down and, pounding him out maybe. And to me, like in round 1 and 2, yeah, it's dangerous, but the upside of Volkanovski in round 4 and 5 is massive. And him being in these fights, been there, done that against the best of the best. And, he was able to stay safe and avoid Ilia Topuria power for like 7 minutes. And Topuria not counters, but the way he cut the cage and the way he pick up his shot is one of the best in the entire sport. And he was able to stay safe for about 7 minutes there. So do I think Lopez going to do better and knock him on the first round? Personally, I don't think so. I think if Lopez finish him, it's going to be like in round 2, maybe something like that. And to Volkanovski credit, I like the fact that A, he took a layoff after the KO losses, and B, he's also in fucking great shape, maybe one of the best shape in his recent years. So you look, the resume is not close, and we have one of the best fighter in our generation at Pick'em. I play minus 110. It's like Volkanovski minus 110 against, Lopez, who's, I don't want to bet against him, but clearly he has a lot of hype, and we're buying low on Volkanovski. And I was watching this line when he was minus 140, and I was fine with passing based on the KO losses and all that. But man, minus 110, I click on it, I play him, and I think round 4 and 5 was also a great look, because I think that's his like massive upside in the fight, cardio wise, and where he could dominate and beat his ass. So Volkanovski to retain his title on Saturday night, and I'm a fan of the guy. I love him, so I'm rooting for him, but I'm not gonna act like I'm super confident. I could see Lopez winning around 1 and 2 by KO for sure, but how likely is that? Is that like 50%, 60%? I don't think so. So yeah, I think that Volk's gonna be fine, and I think it could be a level fight because he's so much better. Like you guys mentioned, the feints, the footwork, the fight IQ, the striking, the wrestling, all that. But his chin is a concern, and he's coming back after back-to-back KO losses. So yeah, Lopez hit very hard. I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie, but it should be a Volkanovski win. He could be washed, like you guys said, but I don't think he's washed per se. I think his chin is declining. That's the problem. He looked good against Topuria before getting caught. So yeah, we ride with Volk. I pick him. Have to. If you die, die.
It's the way he goes out, like that he's been going out, that kind of scares me too as well. It's like sometimes once you go out a few times, right?
Max Holloway did go out against Ilia Topuria.
Facts.
The unbreakable chin. The unbreakable chin.
He kind of like, I don't know. Did he go to sleep? Like Volk really went to sleep 2 times in a row now. You know what I mean? Like that's what scares me. And
it
then
is scary.
Point, right? The chin just goes away. But I do like the 4-5 sprinkle. It's like plus 1,700 and plus 2,200 on FanDuel. I think those are big numbers because if it gets late, he's going to turn up the pace.
Yeah, for me, I'm also on Volk. Me and my notorious line reading skills.
A lock, bro. It's a lock.
I ended up playing minus 158 like 3 weeks ago. What was I thinking? I have no idea. And it's not that I don't stand by that price. I stand by that price. I think it's fine. It's just like, how did I not realize that the money would come in on Diego Lopez? Like, what on earth was I thinking? But here we are. I have minus 158. I've made worse bets, so it's okay. I'm fine with that price. Otherwise, I wouldn't have played it. So for me, I just like, yeah, it's boring. It's maybe a square breakdown. You guys have maybe heard it now 400 times this week, but I think either Diego knocks him out early or I think Volk wins the fight. That's just how I see it. I don't see Diego having extended striking success against Volk. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine him beating Volk on the feet over 25 minutes. I really can't. I think Volk's a much cleaner, much more technical striker, creates those angles really nice. He's just much, much more technical. And I think he is going to outstrike Diego, especially once he gets his reads. He takes a little second to kind of build, but he builds really well into fights. He gets better and better as the fight progresses. I do not trust Diego's cardio at all. I hear all these excuses for him against Dan Ige, and it's like, okay, fine, I guess. But like at the end of the day, Ige was literally on half an hour's notice, and he still won the 3rd round. So for me, like, you can make all the excuses you want for Diego. Opponent change. He came in on 2 weeks' notice. Fine. But Ige literally got up off the couch, walked into the stadium, waited in the back, and then won the 3rd round against him. So
What
how
a
the hell?
badass, by the way.
He's a badass, absolutely. And then, like, yeah, you can point towards the Ortega fight and say, but he was good there. Ortega was just a walking punching bag in that fight. He offered almost zero resistance.
That's true.
And if Volk doesn't get knocked out, he's 100% going to offer resistance. And like, the blueprint of beating Diego is there. Brito did it. Evloev did it. Richardson did it in his own way. But in my opinion, the blueprint is you take him down and you stay safe. And that's it. He's way too happy to play off of his back because he knows how dangerous he is. But if he's not actually submitting you with what he's throwing up, he's losing those minutes. He's sitting on his back and he's losing minutes. And that's how he lost to Brito. That's how he lost to Evloev. And I can see 100% Volk winning in a way like that. I could see him taking down, almost said Evloev. I can see him. We might see that fight soon. I can see him taking down Lopez. I can see him controlling him. Can Lopez sub him? Maybe. But I wouldn't bet on it after seeing what he did with Ortega. Ortega had him done. Any other fighter taps there. Anyone else taps there, and Volk did not. He got out, and then he beat the shit out of him. So I think that at the end of the day, Volk will take the shots, and he'll end up, I don't know if it'll be a finish or he'll just tune it up and end up winning a decision. But I think Volk gets it done. If he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. Like, I 100% recognize that's a possibility. Would have been nice if I got that pick'em so I didn't have to sweat as much, but it is what it is. I got 1.58 units on it to win 1. It's my free bet of the week because I made that bet before I even put myself behind a paywall. So without my choice, that's my free bet. And I think Volk's going to get it done. If he gets knocked out, dude, I'm going to get cooked in the comments, kind of like Tyler was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I've already been getting so much shit. So it's only going to get worse, but it is what it is. That's the game we play. I think Volk gets it done, gets that title back, and then we see him versus Evloev, which will be interesting.
You know, and the worst part is, like, some of these people in the comments are just too stupid to, like, they think like they can't comprehend the fact that, like, you don't bet on every fight. And so, like, I'm not betting on this fight. And, like, these, like, smooth-brained morons are so dumb. They can't comprehend that, like, yeah, I have to make a pick for the video. It's entertainment. Like, it literally says that in the opening seconds of my video that it's only entertainment.
You think they read that, bro?
Dude, they probably can't read is the problem. Which is crazy. So, like, man, I get these people and I'm like, I'm wondering, like, they're probably doing, like, the audio, like, play of, like, the response that I give, like, in the text, like, to their stupid comment. So yeah, there's certain, like, not everybody. Some people in the comments are fantastic. Like Gunbot, for example. I've been enjoying the heck out of everything he's been saying over here on the side. You know, we've had many others, but yeah, some of these people, you're just like, oh, you're so dumb, and it just hurts my head to think about.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
you're killing me.
The shorts are the worst because I just don't have the time to explain every single time that this is not a bet. This is just a pick. I only have a minute or less. Mm-hmm. And I'll just have people come in and they're like, do you really bet on every single one of these? And I'm like, no, I don't. That's the entire point. It's just a pick. It's not a bet.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But all right, boys, I think we should wrap it up. It's well over 2 hours now. And I got to go to bed. And I think most of us do. Pass around the mics. You can say any last words, anything you want to promote. Feel free. Tyler, start us off.
Yeah. So obviously you guys know who I am at this point if you're watching these. So that's cool. But the one thing I want to point out, I want to promote. I did a video about my favorite fighter, Julian Erosa. Now I have to hype this up. Here's the deal. This video is non-monetizable. I have clips from the UFC. I have licensed music in it. Like I'm not gonna make a penny on this. However, there is someone in the community that helped me with the editing for this video. Pink Freud. If you guys seen him in the chat, like in the comments and all that stuff, dude's a gem, honestly. He did the editing for this for free. He just was like, dude, I think that'd be awesome. I want to do that. And because he put so much time into it, he also cares about the views on this video, even though neither of us are going to see a penny for it. It's a good video. I watched the video and I'm the one doing the talking in it. And I got hyped because of the edits that Pinky made for this. And it's really good. If you're a Julian Erosa fan, or even if you're not, he has a great story. The dude was a guy who was cut twice from the UFC. He didn't make it on The Ultimate Fighter. Comes back the third time in the UFC. Are you kidding me? And then he goes 7-3. You got to watch the video. It's like I said, it's like 8 minutes long, 8 minutes and some change. It's just watch it. It's on my channel. It's easy to find. And thanks for having me on. What's up?
I said, make sure you guys check that out.
Oh, yes,
the Rosa video. JB, how about you, bro? Thanks for coming on the show.
I love Juicy J, but I like the other Juicy J just as much too. You know, my guy Juicy J from the 3-6 Mafia. Hopefully, Rosa comes out to him one day. Maybe the Mark Henry song, the Mark Henry theme song. That's always a classic one. But nah, I'm just playing, dude. I love these fights. I love talking with you guys. Genuinely appreciate it. I gotta go. Hopefully, we get some Lopes pack this week. Hopefully, we get some Patty pack this week, and all the packs come in for the gang. Let's go.
Let's go. Dravi, how about you, bro? Thanks for coming on.
Hi, thanks for having me on, bro. So Dravi_ on Twitter if you want to follow me. And if you listen to Couch and you're subscribed to him, I'm going to have a promo this week. It's not out yet, but if you're listening now, hit me up on Twitter. Send me a screenshot that you're subscribed to Mike, and then I'll hook you up with the promo early. It's going to be out in like 2 days. Ended up plus 17 unit last week, so probably a good time to join when we're out. So
my man Dravy been on fire, baby. On fire. Dravy, get the gravy.
I thought you were about to pull a Tyler. I thought you were about to be like, if you're subscribed to Mike, hit me up, unsubscribe, and then hop in. I got you.
That worked too.
Tyler shit.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah. And then for me, first off, thank you for everybody watching. We have 133 people watching right now live, and it's 11:20 p.m. Eastern time. So we appreciate all of you. Please, if you're on YouTube, there's not as many people on YouTube, but if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment. It really helps. And do that for everybody here. I know JB's got his YouTube channel. JB, what's it called?
Matza Money, but I've been taking a little break because I do the show now with James every week. So I've been doing that, but it will come back. I promise you guys. So I love all the people that hit me up. And if not, I'll always post the links of the shows that I'm going to be on that week. And if I don't wind up doing a show, then I'll be on my channel. And yeah, no matter what, I'll be somewhere. So stay tuned.
There you go. Tyler, you can find him at 138 MMA. Dravi's got Beat the Line broadcast going on. Make sure you check that out. Love their show. I'll always watch it myself. Pegasus, Key 3 is my guy. One of the first people I ever had on a show was Key 3 before he even put on his camera. That's when he was just doing audio appearances. And then if you're watching on Twitter, we have 107 of you. You guys never do anything, which is really annoying. But it would be really cool if you could like it. If even half of you liked it, that would be very unusual, but that would be great. Leave a comment, retweet it. It really helps. So please do that. And thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. We will catch you guys next time. Good luck.